It's time for MacBreak Weekly. The Mac Pro is here, the XDR Monitor 2, the unboxing. Well, we didn't do it, but we'll show theirs. It's coming up in just a second. Also, the update to iOS 13.3. What does it change? And is Apple coming back to CES? Don't get your hopes up. It's all coming up next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 691, recorded Tuesday, December 10th, 2019. The $400 wheels. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Health IQ. Health IQ uses science and data to secure lower life insurance rates for healthy people like you. To see if you qualify, go to healthiq.com/MacBreak and take the Health IQ quiz. It could help you save up to 41% on your life insurance premiums compared to other providers. And by Metallic, a Commvault venture. Metallic provides enterprise-grade backup and recovery technology through simple SaaS delivery. To sign up for your free 45-day trial, go to metallic.io/MacBreak. And for a limited time through December 31st, 2019, with a one-year commitment, your first 3 months are free. And by LastPass, a personal password manager and identity solution for businesses, all in one. You only need one master password, and LastPass remembers the rest. Visit LastPass.com/twit to learn more. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, all the latest Apple news. Rene Ritchie's here from imore.com. Hello, Rene.
Hello, Leo. You're looking fabulous in all your Christmas decorations this time of year.
Yeah, we thought we'd jolly the place up a little bit. Actually, we did it all for Lory Gill, who was to join us on our holiday twit, but fell ill. You're feeling better, though, yeah?
I am, thank you, yes.
Good. That punk rock lifestyle is tough. Lory also from iMore. Andy Ihnatko is here. He's living the WGBH Boston lifestyle, which allows for a lot of sleep.
Oh yes, well because we get to lean close to the mic, which means we reserve our energy for our opinions.
Very relaxing. Also in studio with me, Lindsay of the Pixel Core. We were talking on iOS today earlier. Somebody called in to ask about. I still have my K-Tech Tadpole selfie stick.
I love that.
That you introduced me to. The K-Tel people came in. K-Tech, I mean.
K-Tech.
Came in. They do the booms, right, for audio.
They do
in
the
movies.
booms. They are like,
yeah.
And the CEO of the company, by the way, I didn't realize. It took me a little while. I had to go actually search. So she is in Patriot Games.
What?
She's the red-headed girl that flicks her hair at the bathroom.
Awesome.
You know, she's in the bathroom by accident.
So
he walks into the woman's bathroom and
she was like doing sound or something, and they said, "We need you. Get in here."
No, I think she did a little acting in the early days. So anyway, I just it took me a little while. I was like, she looks really familiar. I can't figure this out. So there was like this. I dug into it, but
they make high-end booms.
No, this is like the company
best.
that does booms. This is the best boom company.
I don't know, honestly, if it makes a good selfie stick. I mean, it does. It makes a great selfie stick, but it's not an inexpensive selfie stick.
It's not. It's not. But it is the best.
It's an Alex selfie stick.
I've got a couple of them, and they're.
I do too.
You also feel like you could defend yourself if you were taking selfies in a dangerous location. These selfie sticks could hurt someone at velocity.
They're missing kind of a critical feature of selfie sticks, which is a trigger at the end. They're really boom poles. They're not intended to be like selfie sticks. And then I also, on the other end of it, somebody said, well, and what is that red thing on there? And that was something I'm pretty sure Andy recommended, the gripped phone grip for tripods. Does that ring a bell, Andy?
Sounds familiar.
It was red. It's red aluminum. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
I bought it because of you.
It's like a machined aluminum igloo.
Machined aluminum, yeah. And so that was at the end of my K-Tech Tadpole.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of them, I had like $600 worth of selfie sticks. But the point of doing it is we're trying to figure out how we're going to shoot CES in less than a month. And I want to do it on my iPhone. Because the video on the iPhone is so good.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think I'm going to bring that tadpole.
Can't you make a hat, Leo? A selfie hat?
I should.
And then wherever you look.
I have this helmet I could turn
that's pithy.
turn into
That'd
a
be
selfie
great.
hat. Hello, it's Leo the Explorer here, and I'm looking for big game at CES.
Perfect.
I look like Jack Black in Jumanji when I wear this. Yeah. So anyway,
Right for Captain Spaulding.
African Explorer. So I just thought I had MacBreak Weekly on iOS today. I had the 2 big recommendations, but those are from years ago.
Yeah.
Those are pretty old.
Still keeps paying off, Leo. It just keeps paying off.
I think you could get something a little fancier than a selfie stick these days. How about your very own Mac Pro? There's Jonathan showing off. Man, so how many people got Mac Pros? Because you didn't, right, Rene?
3 on YouTube.
Raise your hand if you got one.
Justine got one,
Really?
Marquez and Jonathan. So far that I've seen.
Wow.
Justine was shooting with. I haven't seen the footage yet, but I know that she was shooting with an 8K red.
You can
think-
see them in the
couple.
footage. In the video, you see
it's
these
pretty-
huge reds, like 3 of them.
And Marquez uses reds, and you just told me
Yes.
Jonathan Morrison uses an Ariflex or something.
An Arri Alexa Mini.
An Alexa. So obviously we're using the Canon Vixia $800 camcorders. So obviously we're not going to get.
That's why they
on
got
that
them, Leo.
list. Yeah, we're not doing 8K.
They're shooting in ProRes 444.
Right.
How many 4s, Alex? 8 4s? Is there 8 4s after that now?
So that tells you who this Mac Pro is designed for. But anyway, Jonathan Morrison, Marquez Brownlee, Justine all have. Jonathan's got some very useful benchmarks, I think, if you want to see, the performance. Not that there's any question. It's the fastest Macintosh you could possibly get.
Velcro on the sides. There's these 2 huge Velcro straps on the side of the box that you lift up and pull out before you open the top of the box.
Yeah, look, here's the unboxing. There's the straps on the side. That's crazy. He's putting it next to the previous Mac Pro, which is
Which is a
Crying
little
softly.
mean-spirited, I think. A lot of those engineers are still working at Apple, and all of them have feelings.
you could use it as a maybe a monitor stand. Look at there's the Velcro. That is wild. You should get it because it starts at $6,000, so you should get at least Velcro straps on the box.
And you don't want to drop anything here. So if they're making the unboxing experience like very, very safe, then that's a very, very Apple move.
Alex,
I approve of that.
This looks like like the Pelican cases you would end up putting this in. I mean, this looks like this is a serious.
I think if you spend a certain amount, you should get a Pelican case for it. But
Actually, why not?
I
Yeah.
think that would actually.
This is
God, is that lined with? That can't be styrofoam in there. There's sheets of. It's lined with like 2-inch blocks of something.
gold, I believe.
Cardboard, it looks like.
It's usually cardboard. Apple's pretty good.
Yeah.
They don't do styrofoam
Cardboard
anymore,
design.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Would they, I would hope they wouldn't ship this. Sometimes I get stuff, but just they slap a mailing label on the outside on the box.
Yeah.
I would presume they're not going to ship this
Not
this
during
way.
the holiday season.
But that's how they
Pony
ship
Express,
like
Leo.
some of their stuff, the Mac Pro.
usually it
MacBook
comes. I think
Pros.
when I've gotten them in the past, I've gotten them in a
brown box.
A brown box. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it was in a brown box
it's-
earlier
it's-
with a big
it's-
pullout.
it's terrifying when you arrive at your front doorstep. There's a box that says ThinkPad.
Yeah.
Like it's the product box with the label slapped on it. Apple doesn't
Yep.
do that, thank goodness.
No.
So here's Jonathan. Jonathan called me out at the beginning of the video, so I'm going to use his video. But Marquez and also Jonathan apparently has a pretty good sneaker collection. It looks like as well.
Yeah.
Ooh, don't tear that hood. It's probably resale value.
Oh yeah, every single bit of the
I'm-
plastic here. Look how big
I'm
the
I'm
Apple
serious.
logo is on that.
And the stickers are huge. They showed the stickers before. They're
Did
huge.
you get stickers that size?
Not quite that size, but the biggest stickers I think anybody's ever seen in an Apple product.
He's hugging it. Now, I have to say, they don't get to keep, or do they? Do they get to keep these?
No.
I've never seen a keep thing from Apple.
Okay.
I
So
have.
these are loaners.
But it was all pre-Steve.
Yeah, yes. These are. Oh, look how nicely that comes off. That is beautiful.
That's pretty.
Yeah. So these are loaner review units as typically
Yeah.
go out. Others will get these, I guess, over in time.
And they sounded like 4 terabytes, but with all like the double graphics cards, which are super, super powerful, and 300 and something RAM.
I got really that much RAM. Wow. I got I maxed out earlier on iOS today. I maxed out a Mac Pro and XDR monitor. I think $61,000 all in. That's if you buy the wheels and the stand.
Go for it.
Wheels
That's what
are
I say.
400.
Go for it.
$400 for the wheels.
When
My
are
God,
ordering
you're
it?
already.
When is it going to get here?
The great thing is if you use your Apple Card to buy it, you
Yes,
get 6% cash back.
Yeah.
I saw a great
that's a pretty
post on
neat,
it. The guy
nice
said-
deal.
It's the fastest way to make $5,000 I ever heard. Spend $61,000 at the Apple Store.
No, someone on Twitter said the baller play is you buy the Mac Pro with the card, you use the rebate to buy a MacBook Pro, and then use that rebate to buy a Magic Trackpad.
And you go all the way down.
There's the math.
It's cash back all the way down. Yeah. So I mean, of course, I would love one of these, but this is not only not in the budget. It's not really anything I need.
I spec'd one out to what I would get reasonably.
Did you get the add-on ProRes card?
I did. Yeah, the Afterburner.
Afterburner.
Because if you're exporting a lot of video, it'd be useful.
I would have got it just because of the name.
Afterburner.
It's got an Afterburner. So that speeds up. That's a dedicated chip for
video.
Transcode.
ProRes.
Yeah. And so I and since I do everything in ProRes, it would be useful for me.
Yeah.
Alex, what did you pick? What were the
I maxed out
configuration
the
upgrade?
processor speed. I maxed out the video cards. I went to about I think it was 384 on 384 in RAM.
384 gigs. That's probably what Jonathan got. 380.
Because I don't have.
He's still unboxing. We could show the unboxing. Let's just
I have a hard time understanding. I have a hard time knowing what I would do.
I don't think Jonathan will pull us down for showing his unboxing. We encourage you to visit.
Yep.
Yeah, he smells every bit of it. He smells it.
No, because I would be doing that too, because there is a new computer smell.
Oh, man.
For $30,000, I'm going to enjoy every sensory input I can get.
You know what?
Off
That
of this.
stand, look at that. That is thick aluminum. That is milled. That is worth $1,000.
The crazy part is
vertiquality.
Watch how it attaches, Leo. Watch how it attaches to the screen.
Is it
It's
magnetic?
insane.
I think it's the spring assembly at the top of that, which is what makes it so
lets you move the
expensive.
screen. You know what? Again, you're spending $6,000 on this monitor. You're spending $6,000 more on the computer. Why not buy the stand for crying out loud?
Well, so the reason
would you get the
dinner.
Visa
I've
mount?
enjoyed
Because
it.
that was less. Visa.
So the thing is that a lot of times I would get a Visa mount because a lot of times I use the monitors. I want them to be hanging from something, or I'm going to attach them to something. And
Right.
so
You don't want a stand.
So the reason that I like the fact that they went all out on the stand, but they made it separate, was because there's people like me that are going to have a specific use case and may not really want to put the stand on the desk. And so then you're like, wow, I can't believe I spent all that extra money on the stand. So I think that there's an advantage to it. And I think that we're going to see a whole bunch of people put out specialty stands that are taking advantage of the fact that people don't want to spend that kind of money on a stand.
Yeah. Look at that. There's the monitor. Now watch this. So the back of the monitor, this is the monitor. For $6,000, this is what you get. You don't get a stand or a mount. You get this. Mm-hmm. It looks like there's
I want that. I want that monitor.
I would just lean it up artisanally on my shelf.
Just
That's what I would
tilt it
do.
against the wall. What could possibly go
I would.
on?
Two words: Amazon Basics. What a baller move that would be.
Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't that be funny? So he's gonna just. I hope he does this. Yeah. Watch. It does. There's nothing to screw in or put it. Is it that strong a magnet?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, I don't even want to let go of
He
this.
doesn't want to let go. Look at that. What? That's crazy.
It's just the magnet that's lining it up and keeping it from wobbling, but it's actually slotted into a slot, isn't it? I refuse to believe
really
that there's
flat
nothing
to me.
mechanically.
No,
really.
it's just going right in there.
Well, it's in a slot, so a lot of the
But
weight
inside-
is going on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
concave on the inside, yeah.
Right.
Still,
Right. Okay.
It's
that's
still
a rare
amazing.
earth magnet with a lot of juice.
Again, it
right?
just allows the designers to go crazy and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And
it
the thing I
also-
love, someone pointed out too, that all the prices are even. It's not like $499. It's like $500. Like it's not consumer marketing at all.
No.
It is. This is $400. This is $1,200. There's
And
no
again,
attempt
the thing you
at
have to remember
psychology.
is also for if you're in a design if you're in a design firm, or if you're in a video, if you're at an edit bay, at effects bay, these are status symbols as much as they are computing power.
If I went in an edit suite and the guy had this, I'd be pretty impressed.
Yeah, exactly. And then
You must be good at what you do. It's like wearing a suit. Now you don't get the keyboard or the Magic Trackpad with it, right? You have to buy your own.
buy that separate.
Okay. just want to point out, keyboard not included.
But look at that black and silver trackpad. I want one of those.
I know. I was wondering where that came from. That's nice.
Apparently, it's only available when you upgrade from on the Mac Pro. You can't just buy it. That might change, but right now the only way you can get it is when you buy the Mac Pro. So if you want that
they sent him the
$129
28
trackpad,
core version, 384 gigs of DDR4. Now, Alex, when you spec'd it, which video did you get?
I got the dual.
So that's really 4, right? Is it 2x2?
I think it is.
It's like a lot.
And I would have to do some research.
Look, this is cool. It actually has a map of your motherboard slots and what's in there.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very handy. This is part of this system information display.
I'm not jealous at all right now. Not
At all jealous. Jonathan deserves it. If you want to see the full video,
Andy and I can sell our houses and go in together.
And again, I think
this is especially painful because I bought like a few like Blu-rays on Black Friday and I spent last night like ripping 3 or 4 of them, and it was literally a 12-hour process that ended 10 minutes before the show. And I'm just thinking about how fast would that process have gone on one of these things.
Instant.
And I think I still think that the sweet spot to buy these, which is part, the sweet spot to buy these is in 3 to 6 months, when all the software has been updated that you might be using that's going to push the envelope of this thing, when any kind of little bits and pieces of the gamma testing sorts itself out. Gamma testing being everybody who bought the first round.
I thought you were going to say when the leases start coming back like a Tesla.
Yeah, exactly.
Jonathan.
No. I mean, I think in 3 to 6 months though that they're gonna. I think that there'll be little updates to the hardware, and then this is typically on a brand new piece of hardware for anybody, including Apple. There's a little bit of warm up speed. I think that buying it right out of the gate is a scary thing to do.
But
hold on just a second. Let me just say a couple of things. Jonathan's site is youtube.com/TLD. Today.
Yeah.
Not yesterday, not in an hour. TLD today. Marquez Brownlee also showing his, and look at him bringing in the box.
You see, there's the box.
That's the box.
It doesn't say Apple. It just says
Heavy man. And I want to see iJustine lifting that box.
There's a great scene where he shows that like he's had his Mac Pro in the back, his iMac Pro in the background the whole time, and then in one of his old videos he pulls it aside to show the Mac Pro he couldn't have shown you.
Oh, he's had this for weeks, right?
For 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. Did Jonathan Morrison have it that long as well? I guess he did.
I think they both had it for 2 weeks.
You'd have to make those videos. I mean, they had a lot of benchmarking and stuff. So I'll go check iJustine. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to give Jonathan his plug because we've shown so much of his video.
I just wanted to ask Alex that I think Rene actually hinted at something that's kind of interesting. Like there are going to be a lot of people who can profit by this but can't afford it. What do you think it would cost to rent out a piece of hardware like that for a week or a month?
Well, I mean, the rule of thumb. So, I mean, the rule of thumb on rental is oftentimes, I mean, usually when you're looking at a day rate, depending on whether it's considered software or hardware based, or how durable it is, it can be anywhere from 10x to 50x. Or 1/50th or 1/10th. So a lot of times you'd probably rent that fully equipped. You'd probably rent that out at $3,000 to $6,000 a day on a 3-day week. So a 3-day week means if you rent it for 3 days, you'll get the rest of the week for free.
Wait a minute. Justine got 2 XDR displays.
Yeah.
Because she's Justine.
2
and 2 stands, Leo. Never mind the display. She got 2 stands.
XDR at 2 stands. It must feel really good to go to your front porch and see those giant boxes.
I got the matte ones too, and I got a chance to see them again recently. And this is the first time I've ever seen a matte display that doesn't look dull compared to the gloss display. Like they were right next to each other, and it just didn't. There was just no glare off of it, but it looked identical.
Oh, because she got one of each?
Normal display. I think she went matte this time, she said. I think Jonathan got one of each.
It's $1,000 for the nano coating on these things.
Yeah.
But again, the people buying these they're not price sensitive. It is still less than they would be spending on an equivalent calibrated monitor from,
Lory was all over
the Velcro on the side is so awesome. Sorry. I just love that they did that.
Can we upcycle those into like Apple Watch straps?
Yeah, exactly.
That would sell.
This would be my
buy those.
I want this to be my bedside table. I think it'd be a very handy.
Your entranceway bench.
And she bought the keyboard. No one bought any of this. She has the keyboard and this black trackpad and the black mouse. Oh yeah, the black mouse. I got that with my iMac Pro, didn't I? Or we got something different.
I think this one again is special because it's silver and black. It's not space gray, so it's another like exclusive to the Mac Pro right now.
Right. And I tell you what, you put those 2 monitors on your desk. Oh geez.
Yeah.
Oh geez. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is living the life.
There's your new desk, Lory.
I was just going to say, you must have had to get a new desk for that thing right there.
The thing that really impresses me with all three of these videos, Marquez Brownlee, Justine, Jonathan Morrison, is how clean their offices are.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think that all of us aspire to have a YouTube channel that's so popular we can afford to pay rent on an office that you don't do anything but film videos
there's
in.
There's cheese grater behind the table. Is there cheese grater still sitting there?
Yeah, there's a reason why I have this screen behind me and everything, because otherwise it would be pretty grim every single week.
Yeah. Yeah, and do you have to wear an Apple Watch when you do the review? Is that in the contract? Or?
No, I think they're choosing to.
They're choosing to, no doubt. Justine was on with you while I was gone doing a twit, Alex. Thank you for bringing her in. I think she's just awesome.
She is.
Is she still in the Pittsburgh area, or she's
in LA,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you think Apple hand delivers those like a guy comes to the door in a specially marked Apple truck?
I think for the demo ones,
Apple makes you go to them.
Oh, you have to go to them.
That's what I think.
Get the briefing.
They're like, oh, we have a Mac Pro for you, but you have to come to our office.
And you better bring a panel truck because you're not going to be able to put this in the back seat of your Corolla, I don't think.
Yeah, they rarely lend you anything without wanting to make sure that they brief you and coach you a little before you have your first experience. So I'm sure that but it also makes me think about what does what experience do they give someone who orders these? Like, because these are people who are spending a hell of a lot of money, and also they're probably buying it for a really specific, really important purpose. Can they arrange like same day shipping? If you need to pick one up at a store, is there a priority lane to make sure that no, it'll be waiting here for you? Or we will take the unused the lounge that we put in for the gold Apple Watches that we've been using for box storage. We will refurbish that and give you some tea.
Is there a Creative Pro training session available at noon when you go into the store?
Yeah, exactly. Like do people expect a certain level of different service, whether it's no, please hold my hand, or no, just make sure I get it really, really fast and I have a problem. You fix it in 10 seconds on a $30,000 item.
That was the Alex thing. I just imagine like, Alex, you want us to talk? No, leave me alone. Can we set it up? No. Do you want this? No, I have my own jellyfish ready. Just give me the box and walk away.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. I don't want the concierge service, although we aren't quite used to it here in the Laporte household.
You and Levy.
Oh, Lovey. So I have to dress for the occasion, right? Dress for success. Someday I, too, will have a Mac Pro. Actually, I have no intention of buying one. Apple probably knew that. But I know Alex will probably get a few.
Someday.
So just so you know,
3 months from now.
We now know the wheels, as I mentioned, are $100 each.
Not each. You can't buy them separately. You have to get a 4-pack.
Okay. Actually, I was stunned at the low cost of Apple Care. Apple Care Plus for the Mac Pro, regardless of configuration, is a mere $299.
It's a good deal.
Not bad. The XDR display a little more expensive, $500 to $499.
Because they're afraid you're going to
They probably don't have a lot of those panels yet.
Well, and I think that is more likely to get damaged. To be honest, especially if you don't attach the magnet properly.
Or just in a movie production.
Yeah, or just somebody gets excited and throws something. A rack-mounted version is not available yet. You can pre-order your Mac Pro. When will it come if I order it December 10th? That's today.
I think the 19th was the shipping of like the estimated arrival date.
And by the way, I did the one I put up on Twitter. I spec'd as a stand-up, but I would only buy the rack-mountable one. Like that is to me, that's the.
I got a chance to see it. It gave me Xserve chills, like just all the feelings. You just pull it out and you pull. It was beautiful.
It's $500 extra for the rack mount, but you don't need the wheels. So
you save on the wheels.
You're saving.
It's a rack mount.
What? So
the Mac Mini logo, the Mac
same as
server people were buying those.
Is it basically an Xserve? I mean, is it fundamentally the same? It's just what is it? It looks like 5U,
I don't think it has the redundancy.
It looks like I think it's 5 or 6U.
It's pretty thick.
It's amazing.
Is the cooling different if it's rack mount? Like, is it louder?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's pushing so much air, but it doesn't have the redundancy of the Mac. Like I think the Xserve had redundancy for a lot of the different elements.
Yeah, because Xserve was a screamer, as like any server that was designed for that use. And a lot of people were like kind of interested in getting one as a home thing, even as a home server, and they were dissuaded of that rather quickly when they saw one in actual operation.
And I'm wondering whether because it's more expensive, whether there's a reinforced front or something. Like I'm trying to figure out what makes it more expensive than the other one. and whether you can't. It makes me think that you can't convert one to the other. Like you have to buy it as a rack mount or buy it as a stand-up.
I think that's true.
That's a little bit of a bummer.
The $5,000 Apple Pro Display XDR doesn't even have a webcam.
No. That's just one more thing you put tape on. You don't want.
But I'm happy it's not a 720p webcam, because that would just be really troll.
It would be so depressing.
That would be an elaborate middle finger for people.
It's our new EyeSight cam. This is the web page. If you go to the store, and they lead off right at the top, save with business pricing. They know who's buying this, and we're here to help. Contact us. So this is, immediately they say
the whole front is different. If you go back to the rack mount one, the whole front piece is different.
Yeah, it's nice.
That would be definitely the one that I'd be.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're using this in an edit bay or a lot of places, this would be a rack
I
mount.
wonder if it slides out, because it still has the handles on the front.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it's got rails and it actually slides out to do custom
switches. These are clearly
amazing.
Switches.
Yeah, you pull those and the whole thing comes out forward towards you.
And then you unlock the top and you can take that off. Yeah. Nice.
Sorry,
What's
I have an update on the webcam situation, courtesy of a circuit breaker column on The Verge. Logitech made a bespoke $200 magnetic 4K webcam for Apple's Pro Display XDR.
Well, and by the way, a lot of folks that would be using that monitor in a production environment would not want a webcam. They literally walk in and all those webcams are taped over.
Yep.
It wouldn't be unusual for them to not put it in.
So you got the 2 Radeon Pro Vega 2 Duos?
Yeah.
So that's only a $10,000 upgrade for the 2 by 32 gigs of, what is HBM2 memory? I don't even know what that is.
Super fast memory.
Super fast. Okay, that's all I need to know.
By the way, Leo, if you spec this out, it is still cheaper than any of the cameras that those people use to film it today.
Right. Isn't that interesting? An Alexa 25 is going to cost you more.
And I think I put in 2 terabytes of. I believe I put 2 terabytes of storage. I don't need 4 because I don't really use.
Is it shockingly stupid that it comes at 256?
No, because the reason you do 256 is because.
That's the operating system.
Strong way to do there's a strong argument that you don't give the internal system anything, and it forces the user to push all of the storage off the computer.
Thunderbolt, so it's fine. It's equally fast.
And it just means that it keeps everybody from saving things to their drive, and So.
No, you only put.
Also, I heard that that's what the studios wanted because it was all going on their network. They're huge network systems anyway.
Yeah, they have SANs, which are really fast.
Yep.
And that's where the assets go. So all you really need is Mac OS and Final Cut, and you're done, right?
They just wanted it to boot, yeah.
Just has to boot. But Alex, it's just money, 2 terabytes.
Well, I think that there'd be things that I'd want to do internally, so I don't want to have to do
Afterburner, because you work with ProRes. By the way, those John is pointing out, our studio manager obviously is looking into buying one of these because he says easy to add more memory
it's not
in
like
the module. So maybe don't get so much memory and get it third party, or no?
I would
have instructions up on Apple on how to do the memory changing and stuff.
Somebody will sell it cheaper, but to go from 32 gigs, the stock distribution.
I don't know what it's like anymore. The issue is in my younger years where we really paid a lot of attention to RAM. The number one thing that made a difference between a stable system and an unstable system was the quality of the RAM. And we used to have this little program that Electric Image made that would test our RAM all weekend. It would just run it, and it would find all the error blocks.
Yeah, you don't want
send
errors.
it back.
This is DDR4 ECC, so this is good quality RAM.
Yeah.
It is, I should point out, a $6,000 upgrade to go to 384.
The reason is that I actually have a project that needs 256. So I was like, it went from one. If there was a 256 there, I would have gone to 256.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it. It's $25,000 more to get 1.5 terabytes. Who would need a terabyte and a half?
Scientific calculations are definitely in that range.
Artificial intelligence, you're keeping models in memory,
those are
like that. That's a lot.
There's definitely simulation issues that RAM is an issue.
Or Chrome tabs, Leo. I mean, if you have a lot of Chrome tabs.
Chrome tabs, man, those are the worst.
Exactly.
Yeah. But doesn't it sound like a lot of consultants are really going to earn their keep by advising people on how to configure this properly for your own specific needs? Because I've not done the analysis myself. I've been reading a bunch of other people who've been saying that, like, if you have the minimum configuration, you would actually not have a machine that was any faster than an iMac or properly spec'd MacBook. I think a lot of people who are going to thinking, hey, as long as I max out this, as long as I max out that, it's so far above the average user's pay grade, so far above my pay grade, to make sure I know that, no, I want to make sure I put money into memory. I don't actually need storage, or this CPU would be nice, but saving money and putting it into an external RAID would be even better.
I apologize. You do get a keyboard and a mouse. I thought you did not. You do get a keyboard.
Merry Christmas.
It's Merry Christmas from Apple.
There you go.
Silver and black input devices.
Oh, it's a magic keyboard.
Yeah.
Cold in the stocking.
Oh, well.
And again, I'll point out a bunch of people did comparison videos between buying a new Alexa or buying a new Red camera, and the process and the cost was very similar to this.
Well, and we were. I think I went back and forth with someone on Twitter about this. You know, when I was at ILM, for the time I was working on SGIs, I was working on an Octane, which I believe was a $60,000 piece of hardware, and that was without the monitor.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's
everyone is flooding Twitter with $75,000 Dells today. They're all showing how much their Dell builds are.
Right. And you couldn't build a Dell that would be this. A lot of this is like things like the Afterburner you just couldn't get.
Right.
So this is a unique device only Apple could sell. It's not out of the range for comparable hardware.
And fundamentally, Final Cut was actually being held back by the fact that you couldn't buy a Mac that was powerful enough to really do big work.
Now,
so
somebody in the chat room said that one of the benefits of Apple selling this is eventually many of these technologies will be in our price range in years to come. That's the case, you think?
Especially the display technology.
Yeah,
I mean, the stuff they're doing mini LED and blue diffusion and all sorts of amazing stuff. I want in everything soon.
So this is I actually, I've even been saying this, Apple should design some stuff as if price is no object. Yeah. To say, this is what we can do. This is the best that we can do.
And if you look at the difference, but if you go from Mac Mini to the fully Mac Pro, you're talking about there's a lot of steps along the way that give you a lot of price flexibility.
You can get a Mini for $700,
$600 or $700 all the way up to $60,000.
No, and Apple is a company that knows they can design something like this, and they will sell enough to I would imagine, sell enough to justify it. I don't know if they'll make money on it, but they'll sell enough. And it's just like I was talking on Twitter about the Ford GT, $1 million car that Ford designs for racing. Yeah. They don't expect to sell many of them. It polishes the blue oval, as they say at Ford. It's good for the shiny apple. It shines up the apple,
and it pushes technology forward.
Yeah. So there are numerous benefits, and Apple, God knows, can afford this. So and when I say this, I mean the R&D to do something like this. It did take them years.
But they have internal teams now. Like when we were at WWDC, they have internal teams staffed by ILM and Pixar. Like they all left ILM and Pixar and recording studios and went to work at Apple. And they're the ones saying, no, this is what we need. If you really want to be doing this kind of work, you need to give us these tools. And they're like all credit in the world. They're listening to these pros and they're building it. Yeah. Like some pros said, we need wheels because when we're on a production lot, we're not moving those feet very far. Give us wheels. And they're all right, here are your wheels.
Yeah. Now, the other side of this, it is more like car development. It took them what must have taken them at least 2 years. It was 2 years ago, right, that they announced that they were going to do it. In those 2 years, it's a moving target. For instance, the AMD Ryzen processors have come out and they're beating the Intel processors. Maybe NVIDIA would have been a better choice from the professional point of view. I think Alex thinks that, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is you're aiming at a moving target, and maybe this is another example of a computer that's a little bit behind the 8 ball because it took so long to develop. Is that?
I think that those choices aren't going to change for Apple anytime soon.
They wouldn't go to AMD.
NVIDIA wouldn't let them do the stuff that they're doing with AMD.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, like, NVIDIA will not let them use. Like, Apple has basically abstracted everything away. That's how they can do Afterburner. It's how they can do the T2 chip on the Mac Pro. It's how they basically sit there and they decide where everything is going to go. They have very intelligent services that just I forgot what the right word is. Like,
but AMD lets them do it.
AMD lets them right to the metal. NVIDIA's like, no, we're NVIDIA. We don't have to bend the knee to you. You're going to use CUDA cores and you're going to like it. And
do you think if given the choice at this point, Ryzen would have been? Ryzen doesn't come with Thunderbolt 3, so you'd have to add some additional circuitry, I guess.
I think that's part of the problem. But I think
that
it's
on the motherboard.
They're built around Intel at this point. I don't think that is.
That's not making such a huge difference.
No. There's
going to be a 64-core Ryzen Threadripper in a few months.
So good.
That's a lot more than 28-core. Do you care?
I don't. I mean, now you're really getting into some big computing. I think that for the entertainment market, that is probably going to be the largest market for this computer. I think that what they're providing
the benchmark is 8K, right? What they're building is a machine that can do 8K, or in a music studio do 100 Logic Pro tracks,
or lots of layers. I mean, so the other thing is stack. How many 4K can you stack up? How many? Right. There's lots of things that people need.
Except it doesn't come, as Burke says, with a bench seat surrounding it like a Cray.
Right. Water towers, bubble water towers,
or like that quantum computer doesn't hang from your ceiling.
Well, I'm going to do right now about 43 ads. Maybe I can buy one. If
there you go.
Ads.
Go, man, go.
Can I sneak 8 in myself so I can at least get a new Mac Mini?
Yeah.
GoFundMe.
Let's all give out our offer codes real quick. And
I'm sure a lot of us are thinking, I was really saving the GoFundMe for if I get hit by a car and I have $130,000 in medical bills that I can't pay. But you know what? Maybe I'll use this card on a Mac Pro.
Unfortunately, like a lot of things you can buy, including jewelry, watches, heirlooms, the Mac Pro is not going to gain in value. Next year, you can't sell it for more.
The big argument for any Pro purchase is how fast can you get the money back?
Right.
So if you're charging
with the work you're doing,
if you're charging $1,500 a day, right, and this is going to go into that studio, then you're going to amortize that very quickly. Where if you're just doing it at home for hobby projects, probably won't get the money back.
Ouch.
Of Marquez Brownlee, Justine Zarek, and Jonathan Morrison, which of those three will actually end up buying one of these? I bet you Marquez does. I bet you anything Marquez does.
Jonathan has that $30,000 Sony studio monitor now, so I'm sure this is a more affordable alternative for him.
I wouldn't be surprised if Justine buys one.
They're all doing pretty well. These YouTube
they're all doing
stars.
Okay, yeah.
They're doing well enough.
I don't know if she'd buy a topped out one, but I bet you. I wouldn't be surprised if she bought one.
And the truth is, they could use it. Unlike me, they would.
Exactly,
they're producing big videos every. I mean, like high, 4K, 8K.
I'm not even joking. It's kind of an occupational hazard of our work that sometimes, like, we get a loaner that we have for 30 or 60 days, and then by the time we send it back, we realize that, my God, this Pixel book is so exactly what I need for this problem I have in my workflow that, damn it, okay, I'm returning this, but I'm also making a trip to the store and I'm buying one. So I wouldn't be surprised.
The worst is when it fixes one thing, not enough for you to buy it, but man, do you miss it when it's gone.
Right. Yeah.
That's why Apple said, take it for a few weeks. Try it out. See how you like it. Marquez apparently said that he would buy more RAM than the 384 it came with.
I'd be curious what he's doing that required it.
I'm really curious.
Because I literally have a big appetite for RAM, but I was having a hard time visualizing what I would hit personally over about 256. So 384, I felt
you don't know that he has a secret AI doll in his house that he's.
It's obvious. He's running Windows at the same time.
Well, he also put down a reservation on a Tesla truck, so he's got a lot of all those hard edges. You can't anti-alias them when you're shooting video of that stuff. So.
Let's take a break. This will pay the power bill, not for my Mac Pro, but it makes me nice to take a little break. Andy Ihnatko, Rene, Ritchie, Lory Gill, Alex Lindsay, all here. Lots more to talk about, including iOS 13.3 is out. What do we get? But first, a word from our sponsor, the great folks at Health IQ. It's a life insurance agency. If you've been looking at life insurance, there's one thing you should be aware of. To most life insurance companies, you're just a number. That's how they figure out, how much to charge you for your life insurance, how much you can get. It's all done statistically on an actuarial tables. And one of the things they're not very good at is pricing it for health conscious people. If you exercise every day, if you pay attention to what you eat, if you're health conscious, there's no way that life insurance company can quantify that. You need an agent who will represent you to them and get you better rates. There are better rates for healthy people for life insurance. Health IQ uses science and data to lower life insurance rates for people, healthy people like you. You exercise 4 or more times a week. You get a minimum of 8 hours sleep on average. You're doing everything right for your health. You need Health IQ. You can get $1 million in life insurance from a top-rated agency, a top-rated company, from $36 a month. See, what really the truth is, those of us who are careful about our health are really subsidizing the less health-conscious people. I'll say it that way. That's a little nicer. The less health-conscious people. It's not a conspiracy. It's just how life insurance works. You might be healthy, but how does your insurance company know that? If you're a runner, a cyclist, if you're into CrossFit, if you're an athlete, maybe a vegetarian or a vegan, you deserve to be rewarded for your hard work with more affordable life insurance rates. And guess what? These companies will give it to you if you've got Health IQ negotiating on your behalf. Because physically active people have significantly lower risks for heart disease and cancer and diabetes. Health IQ is a life insurance concierge. They give you white glove service. They walk you through the entire process of applying. Alex, my account agent, was so great, so understanding. It took a lot of time to explain what's going on. You're getting underwritten by one of the top 30 insurance companies, all the big names you know. But these are savings you can only get through Health IQ. You won't find them anywhere else. Of course, you have to qualify to get these special rates. So it starts with the Health IQ quiz, a scientific way to assess your own health literacy. It's not a health assessment. It's not a self-assessment. It's a knowledge assessment. They put together a team of the nation's leading medical, health, and fitness experts to create cutting-edge analysis. Depending on your score, as well as other related qualifying factors, things like, will you wear a Fitbit or an Apple Watch? If you're already wearing an Apple Watch, can we have the information from that to verify? You can save up to 41%. 41% on your life insurance premiums compared with other providers. There's no commitment. And actually, it's kind of fun. You'll learn more about potential opportunities to be rewarded for your commitment to living healthy. It is a wonderful concierge service. Health IQ. Go to Health IQ, HealthIQ.com/MacBreak. Take their special Health IQ quiz, and then sign up to talk to a Health IQ agent. They will walk you through the process so you can get the savings you've earned for your healthy lifestyle. I know it's not for everybody, but I know a lot of you really pay attention to this stuff. I know I do. And I think this is a really valuable service. HealthIQ.com/MacBreak. HealthIQ.com/MacBreak. You know, one of the good example, actually, Aunt Pruitt was talking about this, because he lifts. He's a lifter. You know this, Alex, too. Mm-hmm. His BMI makes him look like he's morbidly obese. He's not.
Right.
But his weight, the muscle weight, is so high for his height that they just assume you send the BMI to the life insurance company, and they'll say, well, that's off the charts, and so you'll get a terrible rate. That's what Health IQ does. They help represent you to the agency, the life insurance company, so that you get what you deserve, even if you are a lifter or you're extra healthy. It's a really good idea. HealthIQ.com/MacBreak. Let's see. What else? I was so excited about the Mac Pro, I didn't even pay attention to anything else going on in the world.
Did anything else happen?
Well, I did get 13.3 on iOS. It was there were rumors it was coming out on Monday. It came out today. I haven't done my iPad yet. It's a pretty quick download. Let me ask you this, Rene, Ritchie. You probably know.
Uh-oh.
So the download is like 30 seconds.
Yes.
Then it says preparing update, and that takes like 10 minutes. Mike and I were talking about this earlier on iOS today. Micah said, well, they're unzipping the file. I said, no, they got to be doing more than that. It wouldn't take so long. What is preparing update do? Do you know?
I don't know if they're still doing that, but what they were doing for a while when they were testing different things, especially with APFS, is they were basically making a safe environment to install it so that if it didn't work, they could roll it back. And
that was my suspicion, is that they're like, okay, everybody move over. We're gonna make a little place here. We're gonna put it here, make sure everything works right. I bet you they still do that. Also, in order to get such a small download, I would bet you that that download then looks at what you've got, what components you've got, and then vectors in more stuff maybe depending on what.
It's a delta to begin with, so they're giving you the bits. But just because it's a delta doesn't mean it still doesn't have to update a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't know. I'll do it on my iPad just to see. Let's see here. Software update. It is 13.3, which feels like that should be an important one, right? Because it's not a double dot release; it's a single dot.
I mean, normally that would be March or June.
I know, we're really early.
Every update to 13 is an important release with all the bugs that they're finding and killing. So
so don't wait. They don't talk about what security patches there are, but they do say they're bug fixes. I would guess that there are important security patches.
Might be up by now.
So they often are quiet about what all the details are. I'll let you.
Well, because they have to acknowledge people, so they have that page that they update. I'm just trying to find it.
Yeah, I don't see it yet. Just it says the generic security stuff. Let me enter my passcode in and see. Just so I am. The first thing it does is it puts you in a queue. I think update requested. So that's what's going on right now, and I'll let you know when it starts to download. We can time it. But on the iPhone, it was very, very quick. I think there's some new feature. Clips now does, I don't know if that was part of this, does emojis. We played with that a little bit on iOS today. Terrifying. What else? What else is in here? There's other. Yeah, now it's downloading 49 seconds. So I know we're on a fast Wi-Fi network, but that's not long at all. And yet it takes many minutes to do the preparing update. Anyway, worth it to get it. Apple also says they're pushing out a software update sometime soon to fix an issue that I have not had with the new 16-inch MacBook Pro and speakers popping.
No, I haven't had that either. I've seen a lot of people ask about it, but I have not had a pop or a peep.
But the good news is it's software related. I think the speakers on the 16-inch are so good.
Yeah.
Best I've ever heard on a laptop of any kind. Good enough that I frequently will not plug in headphones. I'll just watch or listen to music.
I was listening to Marquez's video, and it felt like he was standing and walking all around me. It was amazing.
I don't know how they're doing that. The soundstage is really excellent on it.
It uses Dolby Atmos, and if it doesn't have Dolby Atmos available, it uses Apple's proprietary spatial placement, 3D spatial placement.
When using Final Cut Pro 10, Logic Pro 10, QuickTime Player, music, movies, or other applications to play audio, users may hear a pop come from the speakers after playback has ended. So it's not in the music, it's after it's ended. Apple is investigating the issue of fixes planned in future software updates. And so this is a bulletin that went out to service providers. Do not set up service or replace the user's computer. This is a software-related issue. So something you'll be getting at some point. Oh, by the way, I think we were clear, but 13.3 is something you want right now, right? You always want to get these as soon as possible. What else? You may remember when one of their design wizards for their chips left Apple.
Yeah.
Apple is now suing their former chief architect of iPhone and iPad microprocessors. He quit in February to found a data center chip design business called Nuvia. And Apple is now suing, saying Gerard Williams, who is the CEO of Nuvia, broke his employment agreement while setting up his new enterprise. Fairly typical that they'll have non-competes, although those are illegal in
so there's a couple of things here that's really, first, if the register could stop using iGiant 8 times in every article, I will pay them cash money.
They used to call it the fruit company. So,
but once is fine. But iGiant several times in an article, it's just the couple of things that are fascinating to me here is they have a version of Apple's complaint, but it's been redacted, but not by Apple. So why would someone redact? Why would the register get it and redact it and put it up? And I don't know. There might be a reason for it.
Maybe the
but
court redacted it.
No, I found a version that was not redacted.
Oh.
It didn't take very long.
Okay.
But the register's version, and the other thing is Apple doesn't do this. There have been so many people who leave, even highly positioned people, even people who didn't leave on bad terms at all. And I looked as long as I could last night into the wee hours of the night. I could not find a single instance of this happening before.
Yeah. The other case that comes to mind is when what's his name left Google and went to Waymo, and Google sued, saying, and won, I believe, he brought a lot of technology from Google's self-driving, went from Waymo to Uber. I'm sorry, and Corey Lewandowski, not Corey, but Lewandowski. It brought technology from Google's Waymo to Uber. And they sued, and I think they won in that case.
Non-competes are not legal in California, but non-disclosure and secrets are definitely still under the. So that's the. I think that's the angle that they're going after. So you can say that non-competes are you do non-competes, which is true.
They accused him, I believe, of downloading a significant amount of data before he left. Anthony Lewandowski, Corey Lewandowski, of course, the other convicted felon who worked as campaign manager for the president.
So my guess for this, and I'm conspiratorial, so this is just my guess, is that he is a legit genius, and he knows where Apple is going with its processors, and that includes what we've all been waiting for with their processors. And this is not an unaligned business that he wanted to start. And I couldn't tell by the register, but I think it was Apple that intimated that he was starting this company to sell it back to them. So I just can't help but thinking he had a super good idea for exactly the chips that Apple was going to need 3 to 5 years out, and figured he had to give that money. He had to give it to Apple. But if he left and started a company, he could get like millions of dollars for the buyback.
Right.
And that's not. I've never seen it happen. I mean, I don't know about Apple, but with other companies, that has been something that's happened frequently, which is that someone leaves a Google or a Facebook, goes out and builds something, and then sells it back to them.
So here in Apple's pleading, Nuvia's mission appears to be to build chips leveraging technology directly related to what Williams was developing for Apple, and he never disclosed this extension of his work at Apple or the existence of this competing venture. He was required to disclose to Apple in his intellectual property agreement as a condition of employment if he did that. So that's, I guess, where it's kind of not exactly a non-compete.
Well, I think that if he had gone to make like toys, like he had a great idea for chips that would work in toys, and Apple's like, we're never going to make those. And he's like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm starting AI Toy Co. Apple would be like, good luck. Tell Johnny we say hi when you see him on the weekends.
Right.
But he's like making the stuff that Apple wants, and he knows what they're working on.
When he resigned in February, he told colleagues, this is in the court pleading, he wanted to start another journey, one with family and friends, to spend more time with his children and, quote, chill, end quote. In fact, he was doing none of this. He apparently recruited coworkers to leave with him. I'm sure that was offensive to Apple. Numerous of those recruits would join him at Nuvia. Apple, and this is to your point, this is exactly what they say. Apple does not litigate with past employees regularly. However, Williams' actions in competing with Apple while at the same time working for Apple jeopardize years of hard work by hundreds of people and millions of dollars invested. Apple has no choice to protect its business and so files this complaint seeking relief. So I think that kind of answers all the questions we might.
And I have a feeling they take this stuff very like with their Google, like they didn't sue a lot of people, but like they have these feelings, whether right or wrong, that there's been an injustice, that someone has done something wrong, and that seems to be when they take action. Like they don't act like a normal corporation with like if it checks box B and C, then file the paperwork.
Isn't it funny? They really have a sense of grievance, like
yes.
Like, how? But we were so good to you. Why would you treat us like that? It's pretty funny. I mean, for a big company, it's funny. Let's see. Apple Privacy Director Jane Horvath will be speaking at CES. I guess we're going to have to go to this. A Consumer Privacy Roundtable. So Apple doesn't have a booth at the Consumer Electronics Show. They won't be showing off new products. But Horvath will be there to talk about privacy, which, of course, is a huge issue for the entire tech industry. And Apple seems to be on the right side of that.
It's a pretty big deal. This is the first time in over a decade that they've sent somebody in an official capacity, meaning flying the Apple colors. Meeting probably was holed up in a suite for 4 days, practicing and being briefed on and discussing with her equals what she's going to say and how she's going to respond to things.
Mac rumors say that the last official appearance at CES by Apple was 1992 when John Scully went to show off the Apple Newton. That'll give you some idea of how long it's been. Holy cow. It does send employees. They always have, you've right, Rene, there's briefing rooms and stuff. It's just not
There's
official.
Apple retail has a huge presence there because they're buyers. They're there the same way the Best Buy buyers are there, but also Apple marketing, and I'm sure a bunch of people to talk to all their HomeKit accessory and other partners.
And it's done preparing the update. Woohoo! I'm going to install now.
Do it, Leo.
I don't think the install takes that long either. Of course, there will be.
And I think we're going to see a much more intense fight over getting access to Messenger and iPhones and so on and so forth from the federal government. We saw something about that, I think, today or yesterday, where there's an announcement. The U.S. government is going to make another push at that. And I think as users, it's going to be our job to, in the same way that we push back on other things, there's going to have to be like email, mail, campaigns, monthly margins. Like, people have to see that there's a lot of people out here that are not going to put up with that.
Yeah, this has become a very big, hot topic. Facebook just told U.S. Attorney General Barr in a letter it wrote to leaders in the U.S., UK, who's also pushing for this, and Australia, where they actually have a law preventing.
Oddly enough, it's all the pushes are from the Five Eyes.
Yeah, the Five Eyes. Facebook tells U.S. Attorney General it's not prepared to get rid of encryption on WhatsApp and Messenger. Now, it could just be saber rattling. I don't know, but this is. I think Apple's going to be doing the same thing. I hope others will do the same thing. It's got to be very clear that we don't. This is the quote from Will Cathcart, head of WhatsApp, and Stan Chudnovsky, head of Messenger. It's simply impossible to create such a backdoor for one purpose, i.e. law enforcement, and not expect others to try and open it. People's private messages would be less secure, and the real winners would be anyone seeking to take advantage of that weakened security. This is not something we're prepared to do.
Yeah.
This is where we're starting to get into that kind of scary. So, I buy Apple products in part because I do understand that they put privacy at the forefront, but at the same time, I'm at their behest. If they just decide to flip that switch and make a backdoor for whatever reason, even if they're forced to by the government, they are my voice to the government. I don't want this. So if they somehow have to or choose to change that, then everything that I've put my trust in is just out the window. And I've always thought of this. I champion that Apple has this privacy-centric viewpoint, but I also understand as a giant corporation, they don't have to do anything like that. And they can change anytime they want to. And I'm constantly battling against that idea of, well, right now they're protecting my privacy, but what will they do next year?
I think in the case of Apple, I think it would be the only organization that will get Apple to crack this open is the Supreme Court. Like, I think it would have to go. They will take anything to court, and they'll run it all the way to the end of the. I think that would be the last ditch area for them to.
And what happens if the Supreme Court says no? You got to do it.
Well, then a complicated situation.
Yeah,
I mean,
aren't we doing that with Australia right now?
And I think that to that point, I think that we need to be pushing the Democratic nominees to commit one way or the other, or whether they're going to protect privacy or not. Like, flat out.
It might be the most important thing, or one of the most.
Because I can tell you, any nominee, I don't care what else they're talking about. Any nominee that says that they would crack into a phone, I'm not voting for them. Like, zero chance that I'd vote for them.
Yeah, we're waiting for this to get in the hands of Congress, because we if there's one thing that we learn about controlling what tech companies can do, there's regulation, then there's legislation. If you're trying to regulate them, meaning an agency, a federal agency decides that here's a policy and here's the penalties for violating that policy, you can always appeal and appeal and appeal and appeal, and they got to negotiate at some point. But if there's a federal law against a certain action, you're kind of screwed. You're at some point you have to decide, am I willing to go to jail for this? And I don't think anybody at a large company who just simply wrote a piece of software to help people is going to be expected to go to jail to protect like $1 billion company or that kind of a policy. So this, I agree with Alex. It's I've always thought that one of the things missing from the Bill of Rights, because 300 years ago, 250 years ago, they didn't have any idea that this technology would ever exist, is the basic question: do I have a right to keep something secret from the government? Do I have a right to know something that the government doesn't know? Because before now, if there is something like, there's either something that's inside my head, in which case I don't have to necessarily say it or testify to it, or I've written it down, in which case there is, no matter how well I protect it, no matter what kind of a vault I put into it, the government has the ability to find it, saw that thing open and get into it. We finally have this thing where I can keep records that I don't happen to memorize myself, but which the government cannot possibly get at. And so we have to have this question: is it okay for me to have a secret that the government cannot possibly know without my consent? And when you put it in those terms, it's hard for me to find the wiggle room where I'm willing to negotiate on this.
Well, and I
don't have a lot of faith in our democratic system right now, though. So, like, I have a lot of fear of the idea of this going to any kind of Supreme Court or anything, because that's where, to me, things go wrong. And I want to have trust and faith that, our right to privacy is protected and things like that. But I really just don't trust the way our government is going right now. And to me, I feel more comfortable in the idea that major companies are going to have my back more than I trust the voters' sentiment heading in the right direction. Like, I want Apple and Facebook and Google and Amazon and all of them, I want them to be the ones that stand up and say, no, we're not going to do this. And we're the ones that hold all the cards, and we're the ones that have all the money. So what are you going to do about it, government?
Fundamentally, though, if it gets to the Supreme Court, it'll get to the Supreme Court. The key is to stop it from getting to that position.
Good point.
And the issue is that we can always, as voters, before we even vote, apply pain. I mean, SOPA got killed because we applied pain. And the reason that we don't see gun control laws is because it's not because the NRA has a lot of money; it's because it has a lot of voters.
Right.
And so the thing is that we, as this issue is as much up to the average citizen applying pain to their representatives as it is to anything else that we can worry about. We can say, oh, we hope that they do the right thing, or we can be sending letters, emails, showing up at their offices, marching. All those things. If this starts to pick up speed, it's going to be. If we do that, they will give up. They have in the past. This is not that big of an issue for them. This is not once you apply a certain amount of pain to this is not going to be something that most representatives are going to think is worth their seat. Like, this is not the thing they're going to fight over. This is not the battle that they want to die in. And so they'll drop out. The FBI doesn't have that much leverage. And so it's important for us to know that it's up to us to stop this.
Well, let's hope we do.
Well said, Alex.
We've done it in the past. I mean, if you look at SOPA, that got killed because a whole bunch of people rose up and said, nope, we're not going to do that.
There's also a political angle that, there may be disadvantages to doing this kind of thing in our dealings with the rest of the world. I mean, there's other pressure points besides just the voters, but hey, that's what we are, so let's take
that's the power that we have. I mean, my issue is less about what the government knows and doesn't know, and more about the fact that the government can't keep secrets. The NSA can't keep their own secrets. The most important secrets that they had, if they can't keep those, why do we think they're going to keep ours where we don't even matter?
What if instead of the government doing that, Apple, for instance, had a system, an extra key that they created that would not be used? It's, maybe it's split between several employees. It's stored safely somewhere completely secure, that they could respond to a subpoena and send clear text, but that it would not be available to the government for mass spying, that would not be available in any other context, but just in response to a subpoena, which I think is all that's being asked of them.
Some 13-year-old kid would figure it out, Leo. I mean,
no, they wouldn't.
Apple
keeps the encrypto keys secure. I mean, I think. Would you? Well, I guess that's my question. Would you trust Apple? Or
I don't trust Apple. I trust technology, and a lot of the best technology is engineered so that there's zero knowledge or zero access.
Right.
And the technology that is forced to give that access is almost always the technology that ends up having some sort of exploit.
But they do it right now with iCloud crypto keys. The key that's generated for your
Well, they didn't used to. It's just because people were losing access to their own data. They discovered that for most normal people, being fail safe was way better than being fail secure. They changed it so that they could give people back their backups if they had to. And now that's being taken advantage of by subpoenas, but they figure it's still a better bargain than going the other way. And it just depends on where we want to draw those lines.
Right. And I think from a constitutional perspective, I think we can fairly safely assume that the folks that wrote the Constitution would absolutely say that you have privacy in your phone. Like if you explain to them what a phone was,
but they didn't write
and
privacy.
What the government wants.
Privacy is not in the Constitution.
Well,
this is that episode of West Wing, remember, where Rob Lowe stands up and says it was such an important act they didn't feel like they had to.
Well, we can all guess what Thomas Jefferson
but the point
intended,
is that,
but it's not necessarily obvious.
Well, we have
but
the
there's
Fifth Amendment.
cybernetics, right? Like eventually the stuff will be in our brains, and if we don't protect it when it's in our pockets, they're going to have full access to it when it's in our brains.
If we can get enough of the United States to pass a new constitutional amendment that says it's okay to break into our phone, I'm fine with that. Like we've all decided as a society that we want to give it to the government. They'll never get that, but that's what we have to do. Is things have to move
Maybe we need
slowly.
a constitutional privacy amendment.
It's also international. I mean, like my biggest concern is never like it's not China or Russia. It's like France is passing these laws, Australia, and how does an international company like Apple deal with it when Australia says they need a backdoor and America says you don't? Like you can't just make one.
By the way, if you get the Apple Pro XDR display with nano coating, actually, even if
I will come over to your house and touch it.
Even if no,
she will.
You must not touch it. In fact, here's Apple's support document. Thanks to Mac Rumors, how to clean your Apple Pro Display XDR. Never use any cloth but the special cloth provided by Apple. If you lose the included polishing cloth, you can order a replacement polishing cloth. Well, apparently you have to call to get it because there's no price on that. Maybe it's free. Do not use water or other liquids to clean the nano-texture glass.
This used to be always the case when we had monitors. The matte monitors that I had years ago, you had to be super careful about what you touch the screen with.
For the standard glass, you can use a clean, dry microfiber cloth to wipe dust or smudges. So don't touch it, Lory, because it's going to be hard to get those fingerprints.
But I just want to feel it. I want to know what that feels like. What is nano-texture?
I have to say, this is the first thing I would do is touch it, and then I will have that fingerprint there for the next 10 years.
Lory did. I'm going to say it again because it's amazing. But Lory did ask Phil if she could touch it at the event,
and he said no.
Yes.
No. You can clean the enclosure and $1,000 stand with a soft, slightly damp, lint-free cloth, but do avoid getting moisture in openings. Don't use window cleaners, household cleaners, aerosol sprays, solvents, ammonia, abrasives, or cleaners containing hydrogen peroxide to clean the enclosure.
What happens if you lick it?
Just like privacy
It's
in the
$1,000
Constitution,
lick.
Apple has deemed this is an unnecessary thing to tell people not to do.
Right.
Obviously, you don't.
There's
lick
going to
it.
be a support document.
Obviously.
Do not lick
Smells
your
like
screen.
bacon.
You can hand wash the special provided polishing cloth with dish soap and water, rinse thoroughly, and allow it to air dry for at least 24 hours before.
I want to know what the polishing cloth looks like. Did any of the unboxing
they
videos
blew it on the
show that?
unboxing video. They got to show the polishing cloth, the special super duper.
Is it like the microfiber cloth that used to always come with iPhone and iPad? I still have my iPad microfiber cloth with the Apple logo on it.
I love those cloths. I think they're really good. By the way, 13.3 is also available for the HomePod. So get it. Also, Catalina 10.15.2 has come out with news improvements, iPhone remote control support for music and TV apps. So now your iPhone remote control can control music on your Mac and TV apps.
That's nice.
My favorite thing, I forget when it came out. It was a little while ago, but I don't use my Apple remote that much anymore. I just tell Siri to turn on the Apple TV, turn off the Apple TV, play this, play that. And it just does it while I'm walking. I don't even have to stop and look for it anymore. It's beautiful.
We mentioned it once before, but I probably should say it again. 6% off if you use your Apple Card to buy any Apple Store hardware purchases.
Yeah.
6%.
Do watch bands count? Please say watch bands count.
Yeah.
Which offsets your
is that
state tax.
hardware?
I don't know. It's like leatherware. I'm not sure.
They also Semi-hard. They also announced that you can now buy an iPhone for 0% financing with your Apple Card, spread over 24 months. So it's similar to the whatever that special feature automatic update feature is for the iPhone. But you don't have to trade in your phone. You don't have to say, I'll take the next one. It's just pay it off over 24 months. No interest. And you'll still get 3% daily cash.
So wait, Leo, if you buy right now with that card, then you'll be able to get the 2021 no lightning port iPhone when it comes 13.
All right. Let's take a break and talk about that, because that's the rumor. And I don't. Stay tuned. That's coming up next. Rene, Ritchie, Lory, Gill, Andy, Ihnatko, Alex, Lindsay. Hold that thought. Our show today brought to you by Metallic, an amazing enterprise-grade backup. It's a Commvault venture. You know Commvault, so you know Metallic's going to bring you the best in enterprise-grade backup and recovery. What's cool is it's a SaaS product, software as a service, so it's easy to install, easy to use. And since Metallic's built on Commvault's core technology, you're guaranteed to get fast, secure backups and granular restores to prevent data loss. Metallic is unique. It scales across multiple workloads while mitigating the risk of data loss, security threats, and other issues, even things as simple as losing access to your data in Office 365 or just slow backup performance. Yes, there's Metallic Office 365 backup and recovery, and that's important. A lot of businesses are required by law to retain emails, to retain documents. With Metallic Office 365 backup and recovery, you protect your mailboxes, contacts, and calendar items, whether they're in SharePoint Online, Exchange Online, OneDrive, and you get unlimited Azure storage, unlimited retention. There's also Metallic Core backup and recovery for physical and virtual servers on-prem and in the cloud. They've got comprehensive backup and recovery for VMware, file servers on Windows, Linux too, Microsoft SQL databases. And you've got endpoints. Metallic has endpoint backup and recovery too, which lets you back up your desktop and laptop data to protect against deletion, corruption, or malicious attacks. And because it's an endpoint, you want to be able to secure data with encryption. It's got geolocation, so you know where that phone or laptop is, and even remote wipe functionality. With Metallic, you'll be up and running in as little as 15 minutes, and you'll get simpler data protection operations with less downtime and seamless scaling, all with no big upfront investment. Safeguard your data now with Metallic for consistency, flexibility, and scalability, all delivered through a SaaS cloud platform. Whether you're protecting a terabyte or 1,000, safeguard your data now and later with all the benefits of SaaS. Metallic, a Commvault venture. Here's the deal. Sign up for your free 45-day trial at metallic.io/MacBreak. And for a limited time through the end of the year, December 31st, 2019, when you do a 1-year commitment, your first 3 months are free. Nice. Metallic.io/MacBreak. So this is a Ming-Chi Kuo, isn't it? This
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's this guy again.
Ming-Chi Kuo, who has now been, I think his record's a little checkered, but he says...
I think Apple's finding more creative ways of having multiple things in the supply chain.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He says...
Well, he's also predicting out like stuff that's kind of obvious to all of us at this point.
Well, and by the way, this is not the 2020 iPhone. This is not the next iPhone. Right. This is a 2-year out iPhone.
No one does 1-year spoilers anymore, Leo. You got to do at least 2 or 3 if you want the street cred.
He says, I did those last year. This is next year. So a completely wireless experience. In other words, don't switch to USB-C, just no port at all. Does that even...
Only for the pros. The main, so for the main iPhone, the normal non-pro iPhone, you'll still get a lightning connector. But for pros, they don't even need USB-C anymore. We're just going to seal that right up, and then we'll give you a dongle so that you can plug it into your CarPlay. And it'll be wonderful. You'll love it.
I have to point out that Ming-Chi Kuo is...
How would you plug it into your CarPlay, though?
You plug it to USB-C to Bluetooth dongle. You plug that into your car, and then it communicates over Bluetooth to the dongle.
If you're going to have a 2021 iPhone, you need a new car and the new wireless CarPlay. That's all.
Cars take too long, Leo. They announced wireless CarPlay with iOS 9. You can't expect those to be shipping yet.
My new car, which won't be coming for another year, the Mustang Mach-E, has wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and it has a Qi charger, right, where you put the phone down and then you're done. So
that's nice.
I'm ready for the, I don't think this
the
is
funny
one
thing
word
to me
at
is
all.
that like
Courage.
everybody is freaking out about this, and like Meizu has already shipped a portless phone called the Zero. The Google had a Pixel 3 prototype that was portless, but they couldn't get remote restore working. I'm guessing Samsung, it's just like, it's one of those things that they all prototype when they're doing these things. Like, what can we do? What can we change this? Can we do that? Are we ready to get rid of this? Like 8 people are going to ship this within the next 5 years, I'm sure. But it's news because, Apple took HTC took the headphone jack away with the T-Mobile G1. And Apple took it away, and then everybody did. So,
but
I think
what's
it's inevitable.
well, the difference?
I'm going to make my prediction, though, that this is just not true. I don't think we're going to get a phone or a tablet, an iPhone or an iPad, without some version of a port that allows us to connect to other things. I think the fact that we have the ability to plug in hard drives now, or like thumb drives and things like that, to our devices on iOS and iPadOS is evidence that this is not. If you take that away from me, then this great thing that you did in the software is now completely useless. If I don't have a port that I can plug in my USB-C dongle or my USB-C thumb drive to upload files or photos or something like that.
Well, what would be the
point of?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, I mean,
why would you take that out? For waterproof?
No, for mechanical failure. Every vendor has said it's mechanical failure that's driving the exploration of this.
It is absolutely the case that a lot of times I think people bring in a non-charging iPhone and they blow it out and it's full of lint. I know it's happened to me. It happened to people.
And they corrode.
And they corrode. So yeah, that's a point of failure.
And also, it's a mechanical point of leverage. So if you have something plugged in and you sit on it wrong or whatever, you can not only damage the cable, but you can damage the phone.
So it would be more reliable.
I hate the idea.
But I think the loss of the features would not balance out that more reliable option. I think getting rid of a connector port at all, like, so in other words, there's just 0 ports on the phone, I think that's a terrible idea. I don't think that technology is going to head that way. I believe they're testing it, but I think in the end they're going to see that the exchange of the loss of versatility is not worth that loss of port in exchange.
Yeah. My reactions to this are, number one, I don't even believe rumors about next year's iPhone, let alone year after next iPhone. So
you mean that iPhone SE?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even. I can tell you with all honesty, I am not even thinking about this as anything other than some dude on the internet said this. Sometimes there's a dude or a lady on the internet who is right 2 years in advance, but at this point, it's some dude on the internet has said this. Number two, I find it really impossible to believe that any manufacturer is going to remove the ability to recharge a phone in the most flexible ways possible without addressing that. I mean, the ability to it's nice. It's the iPhone 11 Pro has kick butt battery life, but that doesn't help you if it's the next day and you're at the airport and you grab your phone checking out the hotel and you didn't notice it was at 20% and you still have to get home at 8 p.m. Do you use a $10 charger that you could probably pick up at any gift shop, at any drugstore? Or do you thank Apple or this company for saying, thank goodness that you deleted that handy charging point for it. Otherwise, you might have had ingress failure problems. Yes, there is wireless charging. And yes, there are even battery packs that have wireless charging, but they don't charge fast and they don't charge efficiently.
Right.
So
they're not as fast. Yeah.
So
Apple would have to come up with a new high-speed wireless charger.
Did any of you have the Palm Veer? Do you guys remember the Palm Veer? It was too small to fit even micro USB, so they had pogo pins on it, and then you had a bunch of adapters for the pogo pins that would go to USB or headphone jack. And just like Dieter Bohlen reminded me of this because it was his nightmare that the iPhone would just come with a smart connector like the iPad, and then you'd slap a magnetic adapter on for USB or for headphones.
This is where I think that a lot of engineers and a lot of designers don't realize that they're down a rabbit hole where you say, well, okay, I'm gonna jump off this roof. Well, you can't because that's like a 40-foot drop and you're gonna break your legs and or die. So, well, that's fine because I'll put like a big stack of mattresses underground on the ground underneath you. Okay, but the thing is, you might bounce off the mattresses and then still hurt yourself. Okay, then I'll put big like catch fences all around the thing. Well, okay, well, what if you miss the thing entirely? At this point, you're saying, let's back up a step and ask us whether jumping off the roof is really worth all of this trouble we're doing to cover the problems that we're going to be going through and trying to make this thing happen. We have to step back to what are you delivering to consumers by deleting that port?
And I would definitely
given that most phones do last 2 or 3 or 4 years. This isn't a problem that requires a radical solution.
We should probably also point out that they have the Apple Watch has a sealed port. The Apple TV, its port is hidden inside the Ethernet jack. You have to actually go into it, open it out to get to it, and they use that to surface it. And if you brick those devices, like if a backup or a recovery goes badly and you brick those devices, you basically have to send them to Apple unless you really know what you're doing. And that's inconvenient for a watch or for an Apple TV. That is a game stopper, a showstopper, if it is your phone.
And what if Apple were to come up with a really good line of like portless cases, like really good form-fitting cases that cover up the port completely, and back this up by saying, "Hey, we think that our new wireless charging standard, as well as our new 10-hour battery, are so good that you're not even going to need to access the port." Of course, we're not nuts. We put a port in there, but now we have this really good case that will protect that port from damaging your phone.
If it's like a drawer, like the way the SIM card drawer is, like you have to use a little pin to remove it, and so you have it, but if you don't need it, it's all sealed up nice and tight for you. I like that.
I should also point out that Ming-Chi Kuo's best rumors come from the supply chain, early leaks, and this would be such an early leak. There's no way Apple is currently sourcing.
So in his defense, I wrote about this in 2016 when I first heard about it. And like HTC was working on it too. That's why they got rid of, like they made that squeeze tech for a while to get rid of buttons. So it is something that is in this industry. It's just when you can take it from, oh, cool, it's one of 18 prototypes we're working on and ideas we're thinking about, and actually say that it's ready to ship with everything from charging to data transmission to recovery to everything that a consumer needs. Like I said, there's many a twist twixt a rumor and a ship.
He's also using the word predict in his reports. So it sounds like, I mean, if you did the thought experiment, it's not an unreasonable thing to say this might happen. Carson, though, mark this segment, and in 2021, let's drag it up and see.
Let's come back.
If you have the video, there's the Meizu Zero. It's amazing to see. It's a literal black slab of nothing but glass.
I mean, there's a certain aesthetic appeal to that, right? That it would just be this, seamless.
I would definitely. That would be my year off. Let's just see how this goes.
Wait till the apology.
Or just wait until everything settles. Like if they did the change, I would be kind of like, well, let's just see how all the technology sorts out. I'm not saying that they wouldn't keep going that direction, but I would let all the accessories, everything else settle before I bought it.
It's the Pro version, and they're the most accepting people when it comes to change. That's the ones you're going to.
Even saying that it's the Pro version to me goes completely against the idea of why a port is there. I would believe they would get rid of the port for the non-Pro version for people who don't want to do things like, plug their phone into their computer or plug a thumb drive into their phone or something like that. So it seems even the reverse of what is important about a port if you say the pros don't get the port. I don't know. It's an odd prediction for 2021, I think.
Yeah. The morning show nominated for multiple Golden Globe Awards, including Best TV Series. This is what, of course, Apple's hoping. They'd like awards for some of their Apple TV Plus shows, something to drive people to subscribe.
Their press release said first time ever for a debut streaming service to get this many nominations for a show with a lot of F-bombs.
Yeah. Other Best Drama Series, Big Little Lies, The Crown, Killing Eve, and Succession. I just don't think it's in the same league as any of those. But hey, good on them. They'll find out January 5th if they get an award.
I think it shows you how many people who are qualified to nominate nominees actually own Apple products and got their free year of Apple Plus.
Well, remember, it's the Foreign Press Association. It's a weird award. It's a small group. It's a very small group, and it's kind of a non-transparent.
100 people, I think.
Yeah, it's a so you might be right. Who knows? Having forced myself to watch this show, I actually hate it more every time I watch another episode. I thought usually shows get better as you get involved and get invested in the characters. They're just making me more and more angry. So,
Leo, you make me so happy. I think I watched 2 episodes and I couldn't bring myself to watch the third because I did not like the show. So to hear that somebody else didn't like it makes me feel. In fact, there's no knock on everybody who's worked on that show, but when they announced that they were nominated, I went, really?
Apple has screened the final episode for critics, not for us. We're on that 1 week release cycle. And according to Stuart Heritage, writing in The Guardian, it is the best last episode of a TV series in a decade.
What?
That's not saying much because there's a lot of shows that had really bad endings.
He says
people seem to love how Watchmen's going.
I am enjoying Watchmen. It took me a while to figure out what the hell's going on. I actually bought the comic just so I could figure out, because it's a sequel to the original Watchmen. By the way, I have a question for you comic book readers.
For you nerds.
I'm not a big comic book reader, so this is all new to me. I was reading it last night. Do you look at the picture first or read the words first?
I read the words and then look at the picture.
Yes.
Yes.
See, my
I've never
problem
separated
is
it in my mind.
I'm reading it like a book, and I forget to look at the pictures. And there's in this one especially,
it's a graphic novel.
There's a lot of hidden stuff, little stuff in these pictures, like Vietnam declared 51st state is like on a newsstand, on a newspaper, in a headline having nothing to do with the dialogue. Right. And so I realize I'm missing, because I'm reading it like a book. I'm reading the text. So you read this. So Lory, your recommendation is read the words, but then stop on that panel and examine it.
Because sometimes what they're saying in those word bubbles actually, or even thought bubbles, will be reflected in the illustration.
That I have to be taught how to read a comic book.
No,
Alan Moore puts so much detail into every one of those panels.
Yeah,
like he wrote out everything that goes in every one of those panels.
Yeah, that's the sense I get. They're not, and the panels are not necessarily great artwork. They're very comic-y, right?
Well, here's the cool thing about comics, that it's just like when you're watching a movie. You don't have to be taught, should I be looking at this person or should I be looking at this shadowy figure in the background? Because the director and the cinematographer and everybody, they have a way of basically giving you a visual cue that this is where I want your eye to go from here to here. And I've framed this to make you think that no, the lead actor in the phone booth is not the important thing happening in this shot. It's actually the person way back in the background that's watching. And when you should just read a comic and enjoy it, but then when you read it for the second or third time, you come to appreciate how they've actually laid out a path for me for where my eyes should go and when I should see things.
That's the real answer: is don't just read it once. It's not like a novel. You gotta kind of really.
I read Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns every year.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, every year. Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, a couple others.
Yep. I will also say the cool thing about comics on Comixology is that now you can zoom all the way in and see almost like the original art level. And when I still remember.
See, I still remember that I was taking off my glasses and like staring at.
Well, not even for that. There are things that the artist puts in there because they're reading it. They're working at that scale. Yeah. One of my favorite artists, Amanda Connor. She did. I saw her at a con and just had read like something that another fabulous book she did. Actually, it was a Watchmen prequel comic, as a matter of fact. And I was complimenting her on, because of course after I read it, I could see that she put details in the background of this like 1960s 20ish woman, and I was looking at and even everything in the background on the dresser, and just said yes. I called my aunt, who was like the right time, and she said, oh, she should have like a necklace made out of like apple seeds. So I had that in there, and I had this. So yeah, it's there's a new level going on that wasn't there when I was reading it for like 60 cents an issue on pulp newsprint.
So let me ask you this: how can I? So I'm looking. Apple Books has Watchmen for $17. Or should I get it? Is Comixology a better way? What's the best way to read it?
I've never tried reading a comic book that wasn't through a comic book reader.
I have to buy all of them because in my region, like something is on Amazon that's not on Apple, something's on Apple that's not in Comixology. Like I wish I could just use one. I end up having to buy it.
Rene, have you bought comics on Apple Books?
Yeah. I've had to because some of the Wolverines I wanted were only available on
Is that
Apple
okay to do that?
Is it pretty much the same thing? It seems like they're just all comic book readers, right?
Well,
or is it in
Comixology
PDF?
does a lot of advanced stuff. Yeah, Comixology has a lot of advanced stuff that I don't think, at least in my experience, Kindle and Apple Books don't do.
But I'll give you this advice, Leo, that when you have a book a comic that was published before digital comics, I would recommend that you buy it exactly. So I would recommend that you buy it like as an actual physical trade paperback.
I've already done that. I bought the hardcover because I thought it deserved that.
Yeah, often people because you'll love it and you'll be coming back to it. It's a permanent library thing. But the other thing is that the writers back then knew that at this point this person will be turning a page,
right?
And so let's spread this out. And also there are ways when they know that there's a 2-page spread or there'll be a splash that literally covers an entire 2 pages that you have open in front of you. And none of those, they still do that in modern comics, but that moment where one of my favorite experiences as a comic book reader, I think, was reading an issue of Thor drawn by Walt Simonson, who is this amazing,
so good.
Epic artist. And there's this battle going on, and you turn the page, and suddenly, no words, there's just one huge picture of the entire widescreen battle going on of huge dragons and winged horses and just the last moments of a desperate
now I'm reading
battle.
that tonight. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so sorry I raised
this is what I've been buying lately. Yes. I've been buying the Absolutes.
Let's talk Pokemon next.
Ooh, Superman.
From the experience of somebody who literally has a closet full of comic books, be careful, Leo. You may have just stepped into a very expensive, very space-consuming future.
No, I'm safe on this. My mom threw out all my comics.
You've taken your first step into a large.
You threw away your Action Comics.
I just want to read Watchmen so I can understand what the hell's going on with the guy and the horse and the.
It's Alan Moore before he really went into the deep well of
he
mysticism.
Gets weirder.
Okay. Oh my God!
When you hear Dave Gibbons talk about it, he's like, Alan sent me pages to draw, and I drew them immediately. And they have conversations that occur back and forth over time. And as far as I know, he never planned that out. He just kept it all in his head and wrote it all out, and everything fit absolutely perfectly by the end. It's amazing.
The only reason I'm actually interested in getting this is because a number of people who I really respect, you guys, but Amy Webb even said this is actually not only the greatest graphic novel ever, it might be one of the great novels of all time.
Yeah, so I'd agree with that.
I would agree.
Yeah, so now I have to read it. And I'll never understand the TV show with that. Let me get back, though, to the morning show. This is Heritage's review. One of the things he likes a lot is Billy Crudup in this, who is the network executive, the guy in charge of the morning show. And somebody said he's like the Joker. He comes, he shows up. Actually, Heritage says he's like Puck or Loki. He shows up and kicks things over. And
he's so happy. Like, people are so angry at him, and he's just like, why aren't you smiling?
Yeah, at one point he
smiling. It's a happy day.
At one point he asks the head of the network, do you ever smile? You seem so
and the guy is so angry at him in that moment. He's actually terrific on that show.
He's very good. Here's what Heritage writes. I've seen the morning show finale, and it is astonishing. I won't spoil it, but it is operatic, slamming from dramatic high to dramatic high until you think it has nowhere else to go. And then it finally strains for a grace note so audacious that it floors you. It is one of the most impressive season finales of the decade, and I'm desperate for everyone to watch it just so I can talk about it. So, Lory, you and I have some homework here. We got to start watching it again.
It starts hard. Like, the beginning shows aren't that good. Like, they really should have screened more.
I got through about 3/4 of the first episode, and I was like, oh.
You can see all the money Apple put into it, which bugs the hell out of me. I don't want to see that. It needs to be a little grittier, frankly. And also, you really can see that they couldn't get Aaron Sorkin.
There's no Sorkinisms.
It's Sorkin without the wit and charm, and
he's done that show 4 times. I mean, I'm sure he would do it a 5th time, but
he didn't want to do it again. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have to continue. Everybody on Twitter, both Christina Warren, who loves it, and Amy Webb, I think, who loves it, said, last night's episode was amazing. So I haven't.
And there's not that many.
No, I'm almost done. In fact, I think the finale is just a few weeks off. We did have the finale of Silicon Valley on Sunday. Okay, enough about that. Let's move on. Let's move on.
I'm just waiting for the Mandalorian, Leo. Just give me more of that.
You know, I broke down. Well, I didn't have to buy it. I'm a Verizon customer. I broke down and signed up for Disney Plus. But, you know, here's the problem with that kind of thing. You watch a lot the first day, and then you never watch it again. Unless you like.
Oh, but they're doing week by week.
I watch it every single day, all day.
All right.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
I love Disney.
What are you're watching? Just like random Disney movies?
Old stuff. I've been really going down the. I watched Bedknobs and Broomsticks and the Apple Dumpling King. I grew up on these, so like I love the feeling that I get when I'm watching these things. The computer wore tennis shoes, all of the old stuff. Like nice. I wish they had even more of them. It's kind of. I find the user interface of Disney Plus to be lacking because unless you know specifically what movie you're looking for, it's difficult to find that. So if they could do something like, I know that they have things that go all the way back to like 1955. So if they could do by decade and have like every single movie that they have on Disney Plus in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, like I would love to be able to find movies better that way.
There's a way to do it. If you go into the search, it will... Like if you hit search, then it below that it does Disney through the decades.
This is how Carson's very first movie that I watched was The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes.
Yes.
That was like the third one that I watched. So.
There's a way to watch it like in chronological order, pretty much.
Yes. Oh, you just made my day. I'm leaving. I'll see you guys later.
Oh God, no! Don't tempt Disney to try to do what Marvel did and insist that no. I know that we've been in business for 40 years and it's just basically random editors and writers doing things. But no, we're going to tie everything together so that it looks like it's all a shared universe. Again, Mary Poppins did not go to magic school with Angela Lansbury and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Okay, don't try to make
You
that
just
happen.
came up with the best fan fiction just now.
Hey, if you live near Apple Park, look in your mailbox for a special invitation. On the 14th, in a few days, Apple's going to hold a neighborhood open house. What good neighbors. I wonder if they handed out really excellent candy on Halloween.
Bring a covered dish.
Toys. It's a Toys for Tot drive, so actually bring a toy. I wonder how much of the campus you're going to get to see. It's not clear if you'll get more than the Visitors Center. The neighborhood did get a private viewing of the Visitor Center before it opened, so that would be kind of cool. The event is Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The invites are not transferable, so don't go call somebody you know who lives in Cupertino. and by the way, no plus ones. It's you and you alone.
That's kind of a bummer. What like me and my family that live. In the same neighborhood, only one of us gets to go, even though I've got a whole family. It's a little weird that can't.
It's kind of the Willy Wonka golden ticket, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't chew the blue gum. I'm just saying.
Well, if Tim Cook is going to hand over the company at the end of the tour, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. And I want, because we're like really late today, and I apologize. Coming up, security now in the next half hour. So, Steve, sorry. But we're going to take a little break and then come back with your picks. Don't forget, we had a great iOS today, just a couple hours ago. That'll be coming out soon. Micah Sargent and I talked.
So good.
Yeah, he's great. We showed off some of the Apple Software Award winners and couldn't stop playing Sayonara. I think we played it for half an hour. I'm sure that Kevin will edit that out. But as we started playing, it got better and better. And I said, I actually really like this game. It was Apple's arcade game of the year, but I think probably Sayonara Wild Heart deserves to be the game of the year. It was really a lot of fun. Our show today brought to you by, of course, LastPass. LastPass is the password manager, but it's so much more. Really, it's a security solution that helps not only millions of individuals, but many businesses, over 60,000 businesses, navigate their online lives easily and securely. We're one of those 60,000 here at Twit. And the thing that's remarkable about LastPass is it does what most people say is the impossible. It makes you more secure, but it's also more convenient. And when security is effortless for your employees, you're going to be more secure, and that is so important. Every user in your company has the potential to compromise your security. We give, the passwords to our bank accounts, to our websites, to our databases, everything. They need access to that. So with LastPass, they don't get access to that. They can't give away the keys to the kingdom. They get access to those, the QuickBooks and the bank account, but they don't get the password to share, to store, to write on a Post-it note on the screen. With more devices, more applications, more networks, more users, it is more and more difficult to manage and protect user access. Productivity can dwindle if you have to do a lot of resets, if people get locked out, but LastPass minimizes the risk, gives your IT team a break, and yes, users love it. So you've got authentication solutions that help you understand what users are doing, authentication that adapts to each individual, that makes it both more secure and easier for them to use, things like single sign-on. Access solutions manage and control user access for all the access points in your organization. The engineering team gets the passwords to the database, to the workflow. The business office gets the passwords to the bank account and to the QuickBooks, and never the twain shall meet. You also get identity solutions that offer a simple integrated view across all the access and authentication tasks, so you can easily verify who's accessing what, when. This is really important to supporting your security. I trust LastPass so much, I put my passports in it, my driver's license, my social security numbers at work. We use it as a secure digital record store for things like Wi-Fi logins, software licenses, employee IDs. Earlier today on iOS Today, we were trying to get into the Apple TV, and I said, well, it's in the LastPass Enterprise, the password, right? So it's things like that. It's really nice. It makes it easy to share passwords without giving away the password. Every employee gets their own vault for safeguarding passwords. In fact, as a kind of benefit to employ here, we give everybody who works here their own personal LastPass as well. It integrates well with the enterprise. LastPass has an expanded business lineup with some amazing features that will improve security across your company and make life easier for your users. So find out more for your work, for your home, for your family. LastPass at lastpass.com/twit. It's the first thing I install. No matter what I'm setting up, the first thing I put on there is LastPass, because it just facilitates the rest of the installation. I just love it. LastPass.com/twit. And starting in about 3 weeks, we're getting some new signage in the studio, because this is, instead of the East Side Studios, this will now be branded the Twit LastPass Studios, thanks to LastPass. So we're excited about that.
That's great.
And Ihnatko, your pick of the week, my friend. Don't make it Watchmen, the comic book, because...
because you already got it.
I already got it.
No, I'm actually recommending another comic, because I jettisoned my originally intended pick because this is such a great book for you or anybody else. Scott McCloud's book, Understanding Comics, The Invisible Art. It's a classic book that explains not only how to read comics and how comic book work, but it really explains how visual storytelling and visual communication works. There are so many concepts in here that will really blow your mind, not because, hey, this McCloud fellow has this brand new way of thinking, but no, he's pointing out things that tools that artists and visual communicators have been using for decades, even centuries, that you immediately recognize once they're pointed out to you. When the classic mind-blowing pages from this, when I first read it in the mid-90s, was the idea of, well, okay, here's a continuum. I'm going to draw the same face 10 different ways with more and more detail every time. And on this one extreme, I'm just going to draw a happy face. And on this other extreme, it's going to be a photorealistic drawing of this person. And as we go step by step by step, you can see all of them from left to right, I'm going to add more and more detail. And you realize that the lesson being that if I draw this figure completely realistically, this can only be this one person. But somewhere in the middle, I'm giving you just enough detail that you are filling in the blanks in your own mind, and you're picking a face of someone that you know and that you're aware of and that you're acquainted with. And that makes this character a lot more real to you, even though you don't know how that's happening. Just like when you have Bugs Bunny is a more intense personality, because Bugs Bunny does not look like any person you know, but he will remind you of this really sarcastic uncle you had, and you will emotionally invest. And that's just like one page. And in the 90s, I remember like reading that and then just like looking up in the middle distance and then just going, wow. And there's page after page about that. It's used as a textbook in so many like college courseware because it is an absolute classic. He did a couple of follow-ups, but this is for anyone who's thinking about getting into comics. Not that you need to have required reading to have the user manual to how comics work, but it will really expand your awareness of how we communicate to each other and how art works.
Nice. I will buy it right now. Does he tell me what order to read the text and pictures?
He actually will. No, again, he will show you. He will show you. Here's how a comic page works, and you will understand why. You will understand a better version of that question, and you will understand how to read comics a lot better.
I'm already disappointed by the iBooks version. I'm going to unrecommend it for Watchmen because unlike Comixology, it's just page by page like a book, and you can zoom in. But then it pops back. It's not ideal. So Comixology,
you got to get comics. Don't buy anything outside of Comixology because they have a reader that is even 1.0 was much better than iBooks, and they've had 10 years of experience now in how to.
Where were you while he was buying it on Apple Books just now?
Well, I didn't know, and I bought it, and I'm just going to save everybody. It's all right. It's only $17. I'll download Comixology.
You want to buy it as many copies as you can.
Apparently, I am. I have the hardcover. I have the iBooks. Now I'll have the Comixology. Now, do I get the deluxe version, the 2019 version, or the?
You want the bonus material because it's fascinating to read. He did so much background work.
Oh, okay.
I will only argue that I think you should buy the paperback, the cheap version that you can carry around with you everywhere.
Too late. I already have the hardcover.
And then, okay, but the hardcover is nice. This like Neil Gaiman's Sandman comics are a lot like this too, where you start off by buying 1 or 2 issues and they're great digitally, and then maybe you'll buy a trade paperback, and then there's actually an oversized like hardcover collection that has the paper art in much better forms. There's some comics where here's the entire issue like as the original art, in full size. So yeah, there are a lot of comics that are like the White Album, where you wind up buying 4 or 5 or 6 copies before they put you in your grave.
Yeah, too late.
And then you're looking on eBay for the first printing.
I got the absolute version. I'm very happy. I had the graffiti design one, and then it lost it anyway. But I got the absolute version. It's
sounds like they recolored it, so that might be worth.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm sorry, about to go into a half-hour tangent, but yes, digital coloring today. There are a lot of old comics that don't really look good in digital because they were colored as with newsprint like flat color, and they really weren't intended to be read in crisp, perfect detail. And so sometimes they will pay for recolor. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Next. Sorry.
Thank you, Andy Ihnatko, for your fine recommendation. Lory Gill, pick of the week.
That's me. All right.
I hope
sticking with my tradition of themed things. We are at the holiday season, and so my pick of the week this week is Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. This is a Finnish movie that came out in 2010, and it is my favorite Christmas movie, definitely to come out in the last 20 years. It is adorable. It's sort of a horror tale, so you don't want the kids watching this. There's actually some full frontal nudity in it too, but it is just absolutely endearing. It's about Santa Claus, but it's this sort of idea that Santa is actually, well, it sort of has that, it combines that Krampus kind of ideology
Krampus. I love Krampus.
Yeah, it's similar to that, only in this Finnish tale, Santa Claus is the bad guy and always has been, and that we forgot that Santa was actually this bad guy who was going around kidnapping children who were bad. There was never any presence involved in this particular version of this ancient tale of Santa. And I don't want to give away too much, but it actually becomes this coming of age story for this boy and his father, who are, it's just the two of them, and the dad is like, trying to protect his young son, but is also kind of disappointed that he's not tougher. And there's this boy who's, still needs protection from his dad, but is trying to prove that he's a man. So it's just this great beautiful, endearing story that you definitely should be older than 13 to watch.
Well, any Christmas movie with full frontal nudity's got my interest. I think it must be the only one. What's it called again?
It might be. It's called Rare Exports.
Rare Exports.
And you can actually watch it on Hulu, on Amazon Prime. You might be able to watch it on Netflix. You can rent it on iTunes. It's widely available, so it's very easy to see it. And it really is.
89% on Rotten Tomatoes, pretty high score. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think I want to watch that.
You should watch it for sure.
Wait a minute. Now I see there's a Watchmen annotated edition. Should I get that?
Oh no.
The annotated Watchmen.
Wow. Only if Andy annotated it.
Don't get distracted by annotations yet. Enjoy the story. It's ideally you should. I think you should read it the way I and most other people read at the time.
Book?
But no, well, as I read it as a graphic novel, but most importantly, have the book like on the floor of your bedroom and lying face down on your bed with your head like hanging over the edge of it.
Do I have to kick my legs
in the air? Just be there for 11
air,
hours.
Of course.
So my thing with that comic that's so memorable is that I was reading it as it came out, and I read the end of 11 and could not believe what had happened, and then it was a magnificently long delay before issue number 12 came out. Happens. Like forever.
Yeah. This is why I have the shot timer on this. On this thought I'm about to express. So don't worry about it. But yeah, there's a lot of people who think that they absolutely hate the ending, and I think it's the difference between the people who read it like month by month by month, who had to wait so long to see the ending, and they build this up in their minds. It didn't reach what they thought was going to happen. Versus people like me who read it all at once, for which this is like okay, and turn the page and see what happened. So yeah, but
there was never anything like it before. It was transformational.
Yeah.
Rene, Ritchie, you got a pick for us?
Sorry, I got to stop doing Comic Break Weekly. And
I really want to. I'm very interested because I'm watching the TV show and I feel like I need to know what this is all about. I don't understand a thing.
Rene, you, me, conference. We have to do a comic book podcast.
Okay. All right. So
actually,
my pick is
call me when you do because you need somebody who goes, "What the hell's going on?" I'll be that guy. Go ahead, Rene.
So James Kuda and Savage Interactive are some of my favorite developers, and they make Procreate, and they just shipped Procreate 5. And it's not like the biggest update in the world, but it has a few things that people have been really waiting for, including cyan, magenta, yellow, black support, which is really nice. Also, it supports Photoshop brushes, and I don't want to be the person who like gives you a paper cut and then pours lemon juice on it, but that's something that Photoshop for iPad doesn't yet support. So it's one of these beautifully crafted, incredibly well considered. Everybody I know who's like a storyboard artist or an illustrator, like you can see Jim Lee, who co-runs DC Comics, just putting up these images on Instagram, or Rob McCullum, who does the Star Trek Discovery storyboards. And most of the time they're using Procreate, and they're just doing such unbelievable work. And other people don't realize this, but if you've been like me, I went to a design and art school where they yelled at you if like you had a pencil with an eraser on it. Like you had to have like your gum eraser and your white eraser, and there was a third kind that you could it was like serious business. So I've always been trained to draw with one hand, erase with the other hand, and this lets you do that. Like it is a program that if you have ever worked in the design or illustration or drawing industry, it just feels like you've come home. And now it's got these extra features, and it just automatically, you don't have to figure out how to export one of these. It just does it for you. It is so smart, and they're always, when Apple announces new technologies like Metal, or they are like already, it's not like they're first in line. It's like they managed to get in the back door and be ready for it as soon as they're legally allowed to release it. So I spend a ton of time in this app just doodling and drawing. And I don't use it to a third of its capabilities, but those capabilities have just gotten way better. Super happy with it.
What I think is amazing is this is my daughter's probably the most used app on her iPad.
Really?
And
how old is she?
She's
like 10?
10.
Jeez,
so she loves. She says, and she just makes amazing drawings on it. But what's amazing is that as a 10-year-old, she probably spends more time on it than anything else. And then one of the best design artists that I know is Coley Wirtz. He posts up on, I don't know if he posted everywhere, but he posted like on LinkedIn, and he'll be like, I did this on my iPhone and Procreate with my finger, and you'll look at it, you'll just be like, you could literally frame it and put it on your wall, and so it's both sides are well, well taken care of.
I've been going to Open Studio figure drawing for like 10, 15 years, and the number of iPads that I now see, right. like mixed in with like the actual tangible art materials is like, now I think we're getting really close to the point where it will be kind of unusual to find someone coming in with a sketch pad.
Right.
Well, it's just so different. Like back in the day when we were drawing, like you would erase and it would wear through and you have to patch the back of the paper and you'd have to use halftone and line it up and like stencil it through. And now just all that stuff, like I've never erased my way through an iPad. It's amazing. Yeah. If you make mistakes, you don't have to start over. You don't have to trace it. I don't have to use a light table anymore. I can just sit there. And there was this great line from Oak Felder when he was talking about the MacBook Pros where he said that, you know, for a long time, technology got in your way. You had an idea and you had to fight your way through all these layers of technology, everything from pen to paper. And we're getting to the point where a lot of the stuff is finally becoming like almost no space between the idea and the expression of it. And that's where it gets really exciting. And that's where I love apps like Procreate, because there's no weirdness in between. I want to draw Batman like this. I don't have to worry about the paper, the ink running out, the pencil being sharp, like none of that stuff. I can just take that Batman from my head and put it on the screen. And it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
So name and price again, because I forgot after all this.
It's Procreate 5. I forget what it is because this is like it's $9, but all the updates have been free so far.
Nice.
So I haven't seen a price in like 5 years.
$10. I mean, that's insane.
It is for what you get.
It's one of those apps where occasionally I wish there were a button to say, look, just let me give you some more money here because I'm enjoying and using this too much.
Yeah, so, it's like $30 worth of software for sure.
Yep. We were talking about Apple's awards, and of course, this year the Moleskine Flow, their kind of drawing app, got the best award for 2019. Probably because it's new, but honestly, for that price, get Procreate, right? I mean, why would you get?
Well, they're definitely different types of programs,
market, sort of. I
yeah,
guess.
The Procreate is definitely the Moleskine one is more like how you start your ideas. It's meant as like a sketching down kind of thing, just some quick sketches, and then you move to Procreate to actually make that.
So you could have both. It wouldn't be unreasonable to have both. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Let's see who's left. And Andy did one, and Rene and Lory. So I think it's only going to be Alex, Lindsay, and the most expensive one of all.
It's not. It's not. You know, it's so our mutual friend Emery Wells.
I love Emery.
Had an issue with getting feedback for a lot of the big commercials he worked on and so on and so forth, and he put together this little thing called Frame.io.
IO, it's off to work.
What's exciting about Frame.io today is that it is released for the iPad. So up until yesterday, when you opened up the iPad version, it was basically the iPhone version, which was like tiny on your screen and barely, it was very frustrating to work. So no one did it. So what they've done is they've updated it so that you can now use Frame.io with all of its, with pretty much all its power, and in a lot of ways more power on your iPad. So what Frame.io is, for those of you who don't use it, and pretty much everybody that I know that works in post-production uses it.
Wow.
And basically what you do is you're working on an edit, or you're working on a commercial, and you upload it, and you can literally export it straight out of Final Cut or Premiere or whatever. And basically it pops in, and you can very quickly just go through and add, basically on the timeline, you can sit there and add all your comments. Everybody can just go in and just comment. And it will, and it's very tightly tied into the post-production tools that we're using. And you can draw on things, and which is where it actually is better on the iPad. Like I would definitely prefer to review things now in Frame.io on the iPad as opposed to my computer, because I got a pen, And so I have a Wacom tablet, but it's it's not as easy as just sitting here and just drawing on the screen. And so I think that this is going to be much easier for folks. And literally, I've worked on stuff for my dad. And I sent my dad, like, here's the login, and then the comments started popping up from my parents, about the video I was working on. So it is it's super easy to get started, super easy to use, and now even easier to use on your iPad. And so I would, if you're working with a team, need to get feedback, this is the platform to do it on. And I tried to give someone feedback on a video last week. They sent it to me to look at it. I was going to try to type it, and because they just sent me the video on Dropbox, and I was like, I'm just going to upload this to Frame.io and send them a link. You know, I can't like process you get used to it and you can't process not doing it that way. So, but what's new today is the iPad version. It's amazing. And the platform is pretty much the way to go. It really is very much of a Mac. I mean, it runs on Windows as well, but it's very much of a, if you're a Mac user, you know, Emery is super touchy about every little way that the interface works and how it flows and how it feels when you use it, and it just makes it's a very Mac-like or Apple-like experience when you're working with it.
Congratulations, Emery's doing well.
I know
he
a
raised
bunch of YouTubers who
last
use
week. He raised a cool $50 million.
$50 million.
Yeah. On top of I believe on top. I don't know whether it's the total or whether it's a new raise on top of I think the 30-some million that he raised before.
It's a C series, so yeah. He's raised twice before.
So yeah, he's
look at all those people.
Yeah, I've been to the office in New York, and it's not since the last raise, Emery. So I'm sure that it's.
So he was just like, I mean, what was he doing when he was back in the
He was a post-production artist. So this is a classic example of someone scratching their own itch. You know, like this is a problem he had in post-production. So he was doing color correction and doing, you know, tons of high-end work, and he just saw that he couldn't find a good way to solve this.
Right.
So anyway, it just turned into, it's been years where it kind of ballooned into where it's at.
Very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end, but not the end of the end, the beginning of the end of the beginning.
There you go.
Of the end, because for the next 5 hours, we're going to talk about Watchmen. Okay, I bought the annotated. Big mistake. It's just annotations with black and white frames so that you could see what they're annotating. So now I have to go back and buy another copy. It's only 4 copies of Watchmen.
You insist on looking at Watchmen books one at a time, Leo, where if you just took a step back, the entire story would unveil itself to you.
I think that's what I need to do.
Yes,
whatever that means. Rene Ritchie's at imore.com. He's working right now on Vector. Any minute now. If you only had a Mac Pro, you probably could have had it done before the show.
I put up a video on the iPhone Pro, Leo, 3 months later. So I didn't have that Pro, so I did a different Pro, but it's still Pro.
It's still Pro, and you're the proest of the pros. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always great to have you on. His partner in crime is the great Lory Gill. She's managing editor at imore.com, Appaholic. And it's so great to see you. I mean, again, I'm sorry we missed you on Thursday, but we'll do it again, and you always have an invitation to come down here if you're in the mood to.
Yeah, I'm going to make a special trip down.
You need
to
come down just so we can regale you with all the champagne, and we had Anthony came in, made special drinks for everybody. He had one picked for you. We'll make it for you when you come. He made me a smoky Negroni or something. It was in a bottle. When you took it, when you opened the thing, smoke came out of it. It was the best drink I ever had.
Wow.
It was amazing. He put the Twit logo. He made Paul Thurrott's wife, Stephanie, invented the Patch Tuesday, a special drink to drink every second Tuesday of every month, and you get the Microsoft updates. And it's got a foam. It's like a whiskey sour. He made the Twit logo in the top. I mean, this guy went all out, and he wasn't feeling well. So, Anthony, thank you. And I don't know what your drink was going to be, but I know he had something in mind. So when you come down, Lory, we'll arrange to have a special beverage prepared for you, which means
that sounds fun.
We'll have to get you a hotel room as well because they're pretty strong. And Alex Lindsay, he is at the Twitter at Alex LINDSAY, and of course pixelcore.com. It's always a pleasure. Anything coming up that you want to tell people about?
I am slowly working through releasing some new videos. I have building this little home studio, and it's kind of a mess at the moment, but
you got to give us a tour of the home studio at some point.
Well, I'm not going to give a tour of the one that's in the current state, but it's mostly a function of I decided I wanted to be able to build something in my home office, which has got a lot of hardwood and hard walls, and so there's lots of moving blankets laying around and things and bits and pieces, but you will see pieces of the studio as I start to shoot, because I'm going to talk about. A lot of it's just trying to figure out little things that we are constantly telling people to do or showing people how to do. And so some of it will be video, some of it will be literally how to build SDI cables and stuff like that. So we're going to, a little mixture of analog and digital that I'm doing mostly for fun right now.
Always fun. And how are the Steelers doing?
They're doing great. They're doing great. Well, we'll see. This weekend is going to be hard.
We might see you in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be fun? A Niners-Steelers Super Bowl?
The fact that if we end up
possible?
It is possible.
Yeah.
The fact that if we make it to the Super Bowl, the fact that we had a guy who literally walked on to was a walk-on and is now the starting quarterback.
Isn't that amazing?
And he's doing great.
Ben got hurt.
And Ben got hurt, and then we went to our first round, our number 2 guy, and he didn't turn out as well.
Yeah.
So we went to this guy that literally just kind of walked on,
awesome?
and he's doing.
What's his name?
His name, I don't know. I just know him as Duck. Duck.
It's not Trubisky.
He's known as the Duck.
What is?
And I can't think of his name at the moment.
Anyway. No one knows.
It's so embarrassing that I'm a Steeler fan, but we just say the Duck. Or
That's
Duck.
exciting.
So anyway, he's so I think that it's I'm having a good time, with watching Steelers. I'll probably be at a Steeler bar my brother and I think are going to find a Steeler. There's like Delvin Hodges, right?
Delvin.
So I'm embarrassed as a Steeler fan that I don't know him as Delvin.
If my name were Delvin, I'd call myself the Duck too.
So I think my brother. There's a place called Giordano's down in San Francisco that is all Steeler fans on Sunday. So I think we're going to go down and
Trubisky's the Bears. That's right. I confuse these East Coast, big-shouldered, industrial city teams.
Yes.
The Lions, the Bears, and the Steelers, they all...
Well, the only thing that was fun about the last game is that there were almost as many Steeler fans, or possibly more Steeler fans, than there were...
in the stadium. It's amazing.
In the stadium and in Phoenix. And the problem is that what people don't understand is that Steelers, you can't go to a Steeler game in Pittsburgh because it's all season tickets and it takes 10 years to get a season ticket.
Yeah.
So people literally fly to all these other games because they can't see them at home, and they get pretty excited.
It's been a good season for us, too, up here in the Chablis-sipping Northern California. Andy, Rene,
Prosecco.
Alex, Prosecco. Lory, thanks so much for being here. Thanks to all of you for watching. We do MacBreak Weekly. We try to do it. It's supposed to be at 11 a.m., but God, iOS today is just getting longer and longer and longer. Well, we're going to work on that. I've made a vow to get in here early and get the show off so we can get on at 11 a.m.
Hey, man, San Francisco supposed to be mellow.
Hey, it's Leo.
We'll let you play through, Leo, and we can start early.
If MacBreak is meant to happen, it'll happen.
Let's flip them. Finally, I have the Watchmen in color on my iPad. Oh my God! It took a while, but I
envy you, Leo. I sincerely envy you.
I've never read it before.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting. And with Comixology, you double tap and then you get the guided thing, right? That's the idea.
Or you can just squeeze and pinch and easily and all the way in, all the way in.
This is much better.
It's
You're absolutely
so well
right.
optimized. Yeah.
So much easier to read than it was on the internet.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go tweet Andy from 12 years ago.
We do this show, as I was trying to say, Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1800 UTC. Stop by and watch us live. You know what? It's Apple all morning, so just come by. twit.tv/live. Audio and video available in the live stream. Chat room is always fun, always engaged, family-friendly at irc.twit.tv. If you can't watch live, and I know you got a life, you can always get on-demand versions of the show, audio and video, both at our website, twit.tv/mbw. Best thing to do, subscribe, and then you'll get it the minute it's available. We really appreciate it if you subscribe. It helps us, and it'll help you. So that's about it for MacBreak Weekly. Now it's time to say, get back to work. On your beautiful Mac Pro with its XDR display, Jonathan. Because break time is over.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bonds.